every rival's story, explained from Kanto all the way to Paldea. Forget everything you thought you knew about Pokemon rivals. They're not just stepping stones, they're the broken protagonists, the hero who is fighting his own secret battle, and the real driving factor on why you became a champion. This video will cover every rival's backstory onto why they became a trainer, and their hidden battles and fights, which goes on the background which we only notice if we dig deep enough, and this video will do exactly that. The very first founding father of the rival troupe is none other than Gary Oak from Kanto, the original rival. The professor's grandson Blue is not just a rival. He's the foundational blueprint for all who followed, establishing the standard for competitive dynamics within the Pokemon world. From the very first moments in Pallet Town, when the player character selects a starter Pokemon, Blue immediately chooses the one with the type advantage, initiating an immediate sense of competition. As Professor Oak's grandson, he carries an inherent sense of superiority, an intense drive to meet, or even exceed, the expectations placed upon him. His dialogue is consistently sharp and dismissive of you, and singularly focused on achieving greatness. His ambition extends beyond gotta catch 'em all. He aims to become the champion, exhibiting a willingness to overcome any perceived obstacle in his path. In Oak's lab, this is where it all begins. Professor Oak introduces Blue as your rival since you were a baby. When you pick your starter, Blue immediately snatches the one with the type advantage, starting the stage for a lifelong rivalry. His first words to you after choosing his Pokemon are cocky, saying, "My Pokemon looks a lot stronger." He then challenges you to your very first Pokemon battle right there in the lab. If he wins, he'll gloat, "Yeah, am I great or what?" If he loses, he'll quickly dismiss it, saying that he picked the wrong Pokemon. Regardless, he ends with his iconic, "Smell you later." This initial encounter perfectly establishes his arrogant, competitive nature. Blues picks your counter-type starter. If he chose Bulbasaur, he has a Charmander. We next see him at Route 22. Just outside Viridian City, Blue challenges you again with a stronger team, including a Pidgey. He'll ask, "What? Why do I have 2 Pokemon? You should catch some more too." This battle reinforces his early lead and his dismissive attitude, often ending with him telling you to go train some more. Blue's team at Route 22 consists of a Pidgey and your counter-type starter. Next up, we meet Blue in Cerulean City on the infamous Nugget Bridge. After you've gained a few levels and new Pokemons, Blue appears on Nugget Bridge. He's still full of himself. This battle is rather hard due to the number of battles that you have faced on Nugget Bridge, but after beating Blue, it shows that you're catching up. His dialogue remains condescending, implying you're nowhere near as good as me, pal. Even after beating him, his attitude has not changed. Like here on the Nugget Bridge, he's still so full of himself. Next, we meet Blue on the SSN. On the luxury ship, Blue challenges you again. His team is growing, and he's becoming a more serious threat. He's still dismissive, but the battles are getting tougher, indicating his relentless training. Blue's team on the SSN are Pidgeotto, Raticate, Kadabra, and your counter-type starter. The Raticate would play a big role in Blue's journey, which brings us to the next fight in Lavender Town. This encounter is a pivotal moment in Blue's character development. He is found mourning, and while not explicitly stated, it is strongly suggested that he is grieving the loss of his Raticate, a Pokemon he used previously, but is absent from his team thereafter. He says that, "What brings you here? You don't have any dead Pokemon." This is in the original Red and Blue games. Now, this creepypasta of us killing Blue's Raticate would be great character development for our rival. It simply isn't the case. This theory was debunked years ago, and Blue's still that cocky rival with almost no character development, so people have wished that the Raticate theory would be true to give our rival some depth. So his team at Lavender Town would be Pidgeotto, Growlithe, Execute, Kadabra, and his starter. Next encounter with Blue is at Sylph Co. Blue is encountered having already defeated Team Rocket, showcasing his amazing strength and efficiency. He's still condescending, telling you, "You're not good enough to play with us big boys." Pause. Another battle starts, bringing both trainers closer to the Pokemon League challenge. Blue's team at Sylph Co has all of his Pokemons fully evolved, except the Kanto bird. The final battle happens with Blue at Victory Road. This marks the final hurdle before the Elite Four. Blue is presented as strong, confident, and fully prepared for the ultimate challenge. He's still competitive, but the tone is shifting towards the ultimate champion battle. Blue's team at Victory Road consists of a Pidgeot, Alakazam, Executor, Growlithe, Gyarados, and a new Rhydon in your counter-type starter. After you, the player makes it through the Indigo Plateau, you have the ultimate confrontation. Blue has already claimed the champion title, having defeated the Elite Four just moments before the player character arrives. His defeat in this final battle is a crushing blow to his ambition. It signifies a monumental win for us, the player. He's shocked and frustrated by his loss, but even then, Professor Oak steps in to remind him of the importance of trust and love for Pokemon, a lesson Blue seems to take to heart. Blue's team as the champion consists of a Pidgeot, Alakazam, Executor, Arcanine, Gyarados, and a new Rhydon in your counter-type starter. Specific Pokémon in his team vary slightly based on your starter choice. After the experience of losing the champion title, Blue does not simply fade away. He assumes the role of a gym leader in Vidian City after Giovanni went out of commission, transitioning into a position of guidance rather than pure competition. This shift demonstrates significant maturity. While he retains his competitive spirit, his focus broadens from being the absolute best to helping others achieve their potential. This transformation from pure competition to a more mature form of mentorship showcases that even seemingly one-dimensional characters can undergo significant development, setting a precedent for how future rivals might evolve not just in strength, but in purpose. Blue becomes the gym leader during the times of Generation 2. Pokémon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon. This is where we see him again alongside Red. In these games, Blue is invited to be a leader at the battle tree in the Alola region. He and Red are presented as legendary trainers from Kanto, and the player can battle either of them after becoming the Alola champion. He appears to have matured and become more composed, often offering insightful advice to the player. So while he started as the brash rival, Blue eventually settles into a role as a respected, albeit still competitive trainer, and even a gym leader, before venturing to new regions like Alola to continue his journey as a powerful force in the Pokémon world. At the battle tree, Blue also has a pool of Pokémon, and his team can be quite varied, often including his classic mainstays, and sometimes a starter Pokémon he might have picked if the player chose another. Some of the Pokémon he can use includes Pidgeot, which can Mega Evolve into Mega Arcanine, Alakazam, Machamp, Executor, Gyarados, Aerodactyl, Tyranitar, Rhyperior. He also has access to the Kanto starter final evolutions, and may use one of them with their Mega Evolution if it complements his team strategy. Silver in Generation 2. Silver makes a dramatic entrance, immediately establishing his ruthless nature by stealing a Pokémon from Professor Elm's lab. He is characterized by his cold demeanor, his feeling for any perceived weakness, and his unwavering belief that only absolute strength holds value. His philosophy, encapsulated by his signature line, "Weak Pokémon are useless. Only strong Pokémon matter," stands in stark contrast to the player character's journey, which emphasizes friendship and the bond between trainer and Pokémon. Silver's first appearance sums up his character in the beginning of the game, which slowly transforms. He's seen peeking into Professor Elma's lab and shoves you aside when you go to talk to him. He then steals a Pokémon and declares his intention to be the world's greatest Pokémon trainer. His chosen starter is always the one with a type advantage over yours. His first battle in Cherry Grove City is the real introduction to his aggressive style and distaste for weakness. He'll say, "Are you happy you won?" if he loses, or "That was a waste of time" if he wins, before declaring, "My name's? I'm going to be the world's greatest Pokémon trainer." Next we see him at Azalea Town at the Slowpoke Well. You find Silver here, expressing his disgust for Team Rocket's perceived weakness and incompetence. He battles you again, still focused on raw power. This encounter highlights his hatred for Team Rocket, which stems from his father's failure. Silver's team at Azalea Town, Ghastly, Zubat, your counter-type starter. The next encounter is at the Burn Tower in Acuity City. Silver is found training, still singularly focused on cultivating strength. He's pushing himself and his Pokemon, but his methods are still harsh. He says that he's at the Burn Tower to catch the legendary Pokemon in Acuity City. Silver's team at the Burn Tower, Ghastly, Magnemite, Zubat, and your counter-type starter. Our next encounter with the Red Brad happens in Olvine City. When we go to enter the gym, we are stopped by Silver, saying that the gym leader isn't here and he's taking care of a sick Pokemon at the lighthouse. His cruel nature also states that Pokemon should be let go. A Pokemon that can't battle is worthless. The player then goes to Cianwood City to get the medicine for the gym leader for his sick Ampharos. There we can find someone by the name of Kirk, and Kirk says that Silver bullied him into giving his Sneasel to Silver. And Kirk also offers us his other Pokemon, Shuckle for safekeeping. A rival of this level has never been in the Pokemon franchise, which makes Silver's character really unique. Our next encounter is at Mahogany Town at the Team Rocket HQ. He witnesses Team Rocket's incompetence firsthand, solidifying his distaste for their methods, even though he's more or less like another Team Rocket member. He sees their reliance on numbers and schemes as a sign of weakness, reinforcing his belief in individual strength. We meet with the champion at Goldenrod City at the Radio Tower. Silver expresses frustration at Team Rocket's resurgence and his own inability to stop them alone. Lance's intervention at this point is crucial, as Lance imparts the wisdom that true strength comes from trust, not just raw power. This statement plants a vital seed of doubt in Silver's mind. While the player character battles Silver, it is Lance's direct philosophical guidance that acts as a catalyst for Silver's change. Silver observes the player's success through friendship and Lance's wisdom, leading him to question his own beliefs. This illustrates that character development is not always linear or solely self-driven. External influences, particularly from respected figures, can be instrumental in guiding an individual towards a path of redemption and self-improvement. He wanted to take down Team Rocket at the radio tower himself, so he deceives the player into going somewhere else, but he then ends up battling you, so see who gets to fight against Team Rocket. Silver's team at Goldenrod Radio Tower, Golbat, Haunter, Magnemite, Sneasel, and your counter-type starter. After Silver loses to you, his character goes through this big change, and he says this, "I don't understand. Is what that Lance guy said true? That I don't treat Pokemon properly? Love, trust. Are they really what I lack? Are they keeping me from winning? I just don't understand. But it's not going to end here. Not now. Not because of this. I won't give up my dream of becoming the world's best Pokemon trainer." You, the player, constantly beating Silver and Lance, putting some brain cells into him, really made him do a 180 on his character slowly but surely. The final encounter before the champion fight is at Victory Road. Silver battles you one last time before the Pokemon League. His team is stronger, but his demeanor has subtly shifted. He's still competitive, but there's a hint of respect, and he wants to figure out what Lance meant when they fought. Silver's team at Victory Road, Golbat, Alakazam, Gengar, Sneasel, Magneton, and your counter-type starter. After the league, we get to see Silver at Mount Moon, which is post-game. This location marks the culmination of Silver's transformation. He is seen training, reflecting on his journey, and admitting that he is still not strong enough. Crucially, he acknowledged that Pokemon are not merely tools. He has begun to grasp the significance of the bond between trainer and Pokemon. Silver's team at Mount Moon post-game rematch, Golbat, Alakazam, Haunter, Sneasel, Magneton, your counter-type starter. And he says that he's going to the Dragon's Den to train. If you actually head to the Dragon's Den, then you can see Silver, who is training outside of the den. The master of the Dragon's Den refuses to train Silver, and then Lance and Claire show up right there. And there, Silver challenges Lance to a battle. Claire suggests that she teams up with Silver, but he disses her and teams up with us instead. He only uses his starter, his Gengar, and his newly evolved Crobat. This internal change is subtly yet powerfully visualized by his Golbat evolving into Crobat, an evolution that requires high friendship. This visual metaphor beautifully demonstrates that his actions, such as caring for his Pokemon, are now aligning with the philosophy he once vehemently rejected. He can also be rematched at the Pokemon League on Mondays and Wednesdays after completing a post-game side quest involving Mount Moon and Dragon's Den. Silver's Pokemon team evolves from aggressive, powerful creatures to those that require friendship to reach their full potential, symbolizing his profound internal shift. His dialogue also softens, transitioning from pure disdain to grudging respect, and eventually, a more reflective and introspective tone. His journey is a powerful narrative of redemption, proving that even those who start on a dark path can find their way to a more compassionate understanding of strength. We finally see him again at the Indigo Plateau where, right before going to the league, he challenges us to a battle, and this time he accepts his loss, and he says that he needs to believe in himself more, and he even wishes us good luck, saying to heal your Pokemon before challenging the league. Silver is one of the only rivals in the whole of Pokemon that we see have a real character development throughout the games. Around the ending of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, if you go to the professor's lab, his assistant says to you, "Guess what? The person who took Professor Elm's Pokemon has come back to return it." That's the last thing I expected. Guess what Professor Elm said to him? "It seems that your Pokemon already likes you so much. For a Pokemon, the best happiness is to be with someone it loves. I think it should stay with you." Isn't that moving? It made me cry, but I saw his face as he passed me. He looked so happy. While researching for this video, this piece of information, which I didn't know existed all this time, about Silver made me emotional for a rival in a Pokemon game, which is crazy. Silver's the best written rival in all of Pokemon. Change my mind in the comments. He went from a cold-hearted trainer who would steal Pokemon to now having a Crobat and saying to believe in your Pokemon more. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there's actually a special event where the player is able to travel 3 years into the past, right after Giovanni is defeated during the events of Red and Blue. We see Giovanni and Silver interacting on Route 22. In the Japanese version of the games, he actually calls Giovanni Dad, which would confirm their relationship. This explains so much about him why Silver hates Team Rocket so much. He has such misguided thoughts about strength and Pokemon at the start of the games. All of it can be traced back to Giovanni, abandoning Silver 3 years prior to Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Silver, being the kid, is trying to understand how Giovanni failed with Team Rocket. And Giovanni says that putting together the strength and potential of a group of people is how you get a huge amount of power, but admits that he failed to use his subordinates' potential. The best Silver isn't satisfied with his answer and just doesn't understand him. This is where he vows that he will never become someone like his father, a person that he views to be weak and a coward. This is where Silver makes the goal of wanting to become the strongest trainer out there, and ultimately influences his personality and character for the events of Generation 2. Knowing Silver's backstory, when you go through and play the games, adds so much to it. When you know why he has such a strong hatred of Team Rocket and why he endeavors for strength, it makes his story so much better. The revelation that Silver is Giovanni's son is central to his character. This lineage is not only a plot twist, it is the core of his being. He is haunted by his father's failure and abandonment, believing Giovanni's downfall stemmed from weakness, perhaps an attachment to Team Rocket, or an insufficient level of ruthlessness. Silver's driving motivation is to surpass Giovanni, not by following his footsteps, but by proving that his own path, one of absolute emotionless strength, is superior. This struggle with his identity and his father's legacy is a powerful aspect of his story, as children of powerful or infamous figures often grapple with defining themselves, either by embracing or vehemently rejecting their parents' influence. Silver chooses rejection, but initially it manifests as a twisted version of his father's philosophy. His journey is ultimately about discovering his own definition of strength, distinct from Giovanni's. Silver's character arc is one of the most compelling in the series, depicting transformation from a villainous figure to one seeking redemption. Through repeated encounters with the player character and the insightful guidance of Lance, he gradually begins to question his rigid philosophy and turns over a new leaf, placing his name as the best rival in all of Pokémon. Generation 3, Wally the Frail Newbie. Wally is introduced as a timid, sickly boy from Petalburg City, initially too weak to even catch his own Pokémon. He relies on the player character and gym leader Norman to assist him in catching his very first Pokémon, a Ralts. This immediate reliance sets him apart from previous rivals, positioning him not as a direct competitor, but as someone the player character actively helps. His initial dialogue is hesitant and shy, reflecting both his physical limitations and a lack of confidence. Wally's journey is punctuated by key encounters that highlight his remarkable growth. The first encounters at Petalburg City. Your first meeting with Wally is unique. He's too weak to venture into the tall grass alone, so Norman asks you to help him catch his first Pokémon, Ralts. This act of kindness establishes a bond that is more mentorship than rivalry. Wally is shy and grateful, a stark contrast to the cocky rivals before him. We find out that Wally is leaving his home and family in Petalburg to go stay with his aunt and uncle in Verdant Turf Town because of the air quality of the town. He came to the gym to ask Norman to help him catch a Pokémon so he doesn't get lonely when he moves away. It's never stated on what exactly Wally's illness is in any of the games, but it's mentioned that being in areas with clear air seems to help his condition. It's been speculated that Wally suffers from either asthma or some form of bronchitis as a respiratory disease. Looking at the map of Gen 3 shows that Mount Chimney constantly spews ash and subparticles over most of Hoenn. It makes sense why Wally would be moving to Verdant Turf Town to recover from this health issue. As Verdant Turf Town is free of volcanic ash due to wind patterns, this would make it the perfect place for him to rest and recuperate from a breathing-related problem. The next encounter is at Mauville City, where he talks to his uncle that he wants to battle the gym leader. Wally surprises you by challenging you to a battle in Mauville City. He's still relatively weak, but his growing strength is evident. He expresses a clear desire to become stronger, a quiet determination, and despite his frail beginnings, Wally possesses an extraordinary inner strength and quiet determination. He surprises everyone by leaving home to embark on his own Pokémon journey. His motivation is not to become the strongest in a competitive sense, but rather to overcome his own weaknesses and prove his capability. Wally's initial frailty is not merely a plot device, it serves as a powerful metaphor. His journey is a direct representation of overcoming a personal illness or weakness, not just physically, but in terms of self-assurance. This suggests that Pokémon battles and the journey itself can serve as a therapeutic and empowering process for characters facing internal nor external struggles. Unlike other rivals who begin from a position of strength or overt competitiveness, Wally starts from a point of vulnerability, making his eventual strength a more inspiring and emotionally resonant achievement. And this emphasizes that growth is not always about competition, but fundamentally about self-improvement. We don't see Wally for a while. The next time we see him is at Victory Road. This encounter marks his defining moment. Wally stands as the final challenge before the Elite Four. No longer a timid boy, but a powerful trainer commanding a fully evolved Gardevoir and a formidable team. He expresses gratitude to the player character for inspiring him and pushing him to grow. His battle here is intense, showcasing his strategic thinking and the deep bond he shares with his Pokémon. The red spider lilies that bloom around him in this location have been theorized to symbolize the death of his sickly, weak self and his reincarnation as a strong, capable trainer. Wally's team at Victory Road: Altaria, Roselia, Delcatty, Magneton, Gardevoir, and an Omega, Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. His team is even stronger, featuring a Mega Gallade. And auras after you defeat Norman. You'll run into Wally and his father, not uncle, in Petalburg City after the gym battle. Norman comments on how Wally is looking better and getting stronger, and his dad thanks you for all your help with motivating and teaching him about a Pokémon, and hence as his appreciation, he gives the player HM Surf. Wally then says goodbye to his dad, and the player joins him in traveling to Mauville City. Once the player and Wally leave, Wally's father and Norman have sort of a heart-to-heart about their kids, talking about how it makes them both happy and a little bit sad to see their children growing up. After the Delta episode, where the player helps Wally get his Mega Keystone back, Wally can be found at the Battle Resort. eager to participate in battles at the Battle Maison. He will challenge you to a rematch, and his team gets progressively stronger, eventually reaching high levels. This shows his continued dedication to self-improvement, even after achieving his initial goals. His team is also completely switched up. Wally's team at the post-game rematch in Oras features Altaria, Roserade, Magnezone, Delcatty, and his Mega Gallade. Wally's story is a unique narrative about overcoming both physical and personal limitations. He learns that true strength extends beyond physical prowess, encompassing courage, perseverance, and the unbreakable bonds forged with Pokémon. He becomes a symbol of what anyone can achieve through dedication and unwavering spirit. His relationship with the player character is unique. The player does not just battle him, but actively helps him catch his first Pokémon and serves as an ongoing inspiration. This dynamic means the player character's role extends beyond being a protagonist. They become a significant positive influence on the lives and development of others, embodying themes of mentorship and friendship rather than solely rivalry. Next up, Generation 4, Barry, the impatient friend, and the son of a frontier brain. Barry is a whirlwind of boundless energy, characterized by his constant rushing and impatience. He embodies the type of friend who is already halfway to the next town before a conversation has even concluded. This hyperactive personality directly translates into his battle style, aggressive, fast, and reckless. His iconic running gag of finding the player character for perceived slowness perfectly encapsulates his personality and his relentless drive for efficiency. Despite his impatience, Barry possesses deep ambition. He aspires to become the strongest trainer, following in the footsteps of his father, Palmer. This ambition fuels his journey. Yet unlike the more antagonistic Blue or Silver, his competition with the player character is consistently friendly and devoid of malice. He genuinely desires success for both himself and the player character. Barry's impatience is not merely a quirky trait, it is a direct manifestation of his underlying ambition and the unspoken pressure of being the son of a powerful frontier brain, Palmer. He is perpetually rushing because he feels a need to prove himself quickly, to live up to or even surpass his father's formidable reputation. This demonstrates that even friendly competition can be driven by deep-seated personal motivations and pressures, adding layers to a seemingly light-hearted character. Barry's journey is one of maturation rather than overcoming a dark past or physical ailment. He learns to temper his impatience with strategic thinking, gradually appreciating the journey itself as much as the destination. While he remains energetic, he evolves into a more focused and refined trainer. His father, Palmer, serves as a constant, subtle influence, acting as a benchmark for Barry's ambition. Barry represents a significant shift in the rival dynamic from Blue's pure antagonism and Silver's redemption arc. His relationship with the player character is consistently one of mutual support and friendly competition. His inherent good nature and the player's consistent presence foster a bond where both individuals push each other to improve without malice. This illustrates that rivalry in the Pokémon world can embody positive themes of friendship and shared ambition, demonstrating that competition does not have to be destructive, but can be a powerful force for collective growth and self-improvement. Our first encounter is at Twin Leaf Town and Route 201. Barry's introduction is immediate and energetic. He drags you into the tall grass, leading to an encounter with Wild Starly and Professor Rowan, who then gives you both starter Pokémon. Barry chooses the starter with a type advantage over yours. His first battle is on Route 201, where he's already boasting about his strength. Another early battle where Barry continues to push his aggressive style. He's still confident, but we are also pushing forwards. At Hardhome City, after another defeat, Barry starts doubting his technique, a subtle crack in his usual overconfidence. This is a key moment where his journey starts to become less about pure speed and more about reflection. Then we see him again in Pastoria City. After yet another loss, Barry calls you tough for the first time and admits, "I got beat because I was careless." This shows a growing awareness of his own flaws as a trainer. Our next encounter is at Canalave City. He finally admits that you're a bit better than him as usual, but still clings to the idea of surpassing you as champion. The next encounter with Barry at Lake Acuity in Platinum changes a lot of things about Barry, and this is the peak of his character development in Platinum. You find him after he's lost to Team Galactic Commander Jupiter. He describes Uxie as suffering and admits he isn't strong enough, and that just wanting to be the strongest trainer isn't enough either. This defeat profoundly shakes his confidence and forces him to reevaluate his approach. We then see him at Spear Pillar. Barry actually teams up with you to fight against Team Galactic's Jupiter and Mars. This shows his growth beyond pure competition, as he seeks revenge for his failure at Lake Acuity and works alongside you for a common goal. Our last encounter with Barry was at the Pokémon League. Barry challenges you at the Pokémon League, showcasing his fully realized team. He's still competitive, but his approach is more refined. Barry's team at the Pokemon League consists of Staraptor, Floatzel, Heracross, Roserade, Snorlax, your fully evolved starter. In the post-game, Barry can be found training at Stark Mountain during the week and at the fight area on weekends for battles. He even turns down challenging you at one point, acknowledging he needs to get stronger first, a stark contrast to his earlier impatience. He reveals he spent his journey dreaming of being like his dad, but now understands what being a trainer truly involves. His teams in these rematches are significantly stronger, with levels reaching up to 74. He can also team up with his father, Palmer, in double battles at the Battle Tower. Barry's Pokemon team, particularly his chosen starter, is a consistent presence throughout the game. His team grows steadily, incorporating powerful Pokemon like Staraptor and, in later rematches, Snorlax, visually representing his relentless pursuit of strength and his evolution as a trainer. His weird movesets and abilities in later battles have even been theorized to reflect his personality, as if he hastily threw on random items or moves, still learning and experimenting. Generation 5, we meet with Cheren and Bianca in Black and White. Unova introduces a unique dynamic with not one, but two main rivals who journey alongside the player character, each embodying distinct philosophies. Cheren is driven by an earnest pursuit of strength and knowledge. He explicitly aims to become the champion, and to fully comprehend the true meaning of Pokemon battles. He is serious, analytical, and constantly questions the world around him. His Pokemon team is balanced and strong, reflecting his methodical approach to battling. Bianca. Initially unsure of herself, Bianca embarks on her journey largely due to her father's encouragement. Her quest is one of independence and self-discovery. She eventually realized that her true strength lies not necessarily in battling prowess, but in her passion for Pokemon photography and research. Her Pokemon team is more varied, reflecting her curiosity and gentle nature. Their paths, while intertwined with the player characters, ultimately diverge. Cheren eventually becomes a gym leader in Black and White too, continuing his quest for strength and knowledge by guiding others. Bianca, on the other hand, becomes Professor Juniper's assistant, finding her true calling in supporting Pokemon research. The introduction of multiple rivals like Cheren and Bianca simultaneously, alongside N, marks a significant evolution in the rival system. This multi-perspective approach demonstrates that the Pokemon journey is not a singular path to becoming champion. Cheren's pursuit of strength and Bianca's search for self-discovery illustrate that success can be defined in various ways, from battling excellence or to finding one's true calling outside of traditional competition. This adds a thematic richness, showcasing the diverse ways individuals can interact with and find fulfillment within the Pokemon world. Bianca's journey, where she explicitly decides not to pursue the champion title but finds fulfillment in research, directly challenges the traditional become the strongest narrative. This personal growth redefines success as personal fulfillment and contribution, offering a more nuanced and relatable perspective for players who might not connect with the competitive aspect. The game literally starts with you, Cheren and Bianca, receiving your starter Pokemon from Professor Juniper via a gift box in your room. Cheren immediately picks the one strong against yours, while Bianca takes the one weak to yours. Your first battle is a chaotic three-way brawl that destroys the room. Bianca is amazed by Pokemon, while Cheren is more analytical, already questioning things. Cheren battles you in the trainer's school, eager to test his strength and learn more about battling. He's constantly pushing himself. Bianca battles you on Route 2. Later she challenges you at Castelia Gate, showing her progress and growing confidence. In Nimbasa City at the Ferris wheel, we meet with N. While not a battle with Cheren or Bianca, this is a significant encounter with N, who challenges your understanding of Pokemon and their relationship with humans. He questions the very concept of Pokeballs. Cheren battles you on Route 4. Later he and Bianca are involved in a situation where a Team Plasma steals a girl's Pokemon. Cheren immediately runs off to help, showing his strong sense of justice, while Bianca stays with the girl. This highlights their different approaches to problems. Cheren battles you again on Route 5, and battles you at the very end of Chargestone Cave, continuing his philosophical challenge. After defeating the Pokemon League, Cheren can be found at the top floor of Victory Road, where he will accept challenges from you daily. This is where he truly embraces his role as a guide and a strong trainer, continuing his pursuit of strength. Cheren's team at the Victory Road rematch: Unpheasant, Leopard, Haxorus, Gigalith, Elemental Monkey, your fully evolved starter. Bianca can be battled at Professor Juniper's lab on Saturdays and Sundays at the postgame. Her postgame team reflects her growth and her eventual role as Professor Juniper's assistant, and focusing on research and supporting others rather than just battling. Her team features a Stoutland, Chandelure, the Monkey, Musharna, Mienshao, and your weak-type starter. Now let's talk about N, the king of Team Plasma. N stands apart from all previous rivals due to his extraordinary ability to understand the hearts of Pokemon. He genuinely believes that Pokemon are suffering under human control and seeks to liberate them from what he perceives as servitude. He is a philosophical antagonist, challenging the very premise of the human-Pokemon relationship within the games. His battles are less about demonstrating strength and more about proving the validity of his ideals. N serves as the king of Team Plasma, unknowingly manipulated by his adoptive father, Getsus. He is a pure-hearted individual who genuinely believes he is working for the the greater good, but his naivete renders him a pawn in Ghetsis' nefarious schemes. His journey is one of disillusionment and self-discovery as he witnesses the player character's deep bond with Pokémon and the true, manipulative cruelty of Ghetsis, and is the ultimate philosophical rival. His ability to understand Pokémon directly leads him to question the fundamental premise of the Pokémon world, humans capturing and battling Pokémon. This creates a deep ideological conflict with the player, moving beyond a simple power struggle. This shows that the games are capable of exploring complex ethical dilemmas, challenging players to consider the morality of their actions and the nature of their relationship with Pokémon, moving beyond simple good versus evil narratives. En's story is deeply tragic because he is a pure idealist unknowingly manipulated by his father, Ghetsis. His initial beliefs in Pokémon liberation are genuine, but Ghetsis' manipulation turns him into an unwitting antagonist. This highlights how good intentions can be twisted by malicious forces, and that even those who appear as villains might be victims themselves. En's ultimate realization and subsequent departure underscore themes of disillusionment, personal sacrifice, and the search for one's own truth, making him one of the most emotionally resonant rivals in the series. Each encounter with En is more than just a battle. It is a debate, a clash of fundamental ideals. He uses Pokémon that resonate with his beliefs, including legendary Pokémon, which underscores his unique connection to them, the first encounter with ideals, and first appears after Team Plasma's rally, where Ghetsis preaches about Pokémon liberation. En approaches you stating his ability to hear Pokémon's voices and questioning if your Pokémon are truly happy in their Pokéballs. He then challenges you to a battle to test his ideals, and his team at Accumula Town has a Purloin at level 7. We meet him again at the Nacrene City Museum, and appears again, expressing his desire to see things no one else sees, and to understand the ideal for the Pokémon we keep inside balls. He challenges you to another battle, seeking to prove his truth. In Nimbasa City on the Ferris wheel, this is a unique non-battle encounter where En invites you to ride the Ferris wheel. He shares more about his past and his desire to create a world where Pokémon are free. This moment humanizes him, showing his genuine, albeit misguided, intentions. On the path to Chargestone Cave, En battles you again, his team growing stronger. He's still convinced that his path is the right one, and he's actively seeking the legendary Pokémon to achieve his goals. We then see him at Dragon's Spiral Tower, and successfully awakens and befriends either Reshiram or Zekrom, depending on your game version. This signifies his growing power and the approaching climax of his ideological quest. We then meet him at En's castle. The climax of his story unfolds at En's castle, which rises from the Pokémon League. He engages the player character in a final epic battle, wielding either Reshiram or Zekrom. It is here that Ghetsis reveals his true manipulative nature, exposing the extent to which En has been used. This moment is one of realization and a heartbreak for En, as his entire worldview shatters. He realizes that Ghetsis never cared about Pokémon liberation, only about power. En's team at En's castle consists of Zoroark, Vanillix, Klinklang, Archeops, Reshiram/Zekrom. In the sequels, En has released his original Pokémon into the wild, and you can find and capture them. He still travels Unova, trying to figure out how people and Pokémon should coexist. He can be encountered and battled with his legendary dragon, seeking to understand the world and his place in it. And his Pokémon teams are unique, consisting of Pokémon that he encounters and connects with in the wild, rather than conventionally trained teams. His use of legendary Pokémon in the climactic battle highlights his unique connection to Pokémon and the epic scale of his ideological conflict with the player. His story is a powerful exploration of idealism, manipulation, and the search for truth, making him one of the most memorable and complex characters in the Pokémon series. Hugh, the rival in Pokémon Black 2 and White 2, stands out as one of the most compelling and unique rival characters in the entire Pokémon series, unlike many of his predecessors who pursued the traditional goal of becoming the Pokémon champion, like Blue or Silver. Hugh's journey is driven by a deeply personal and emotionally charged quest, revenge and retrieval. This singular, powerful motivation shapes his entire character, his interactions, and his character arc. At the heart of Hugh's character is the incident 5 years prior to the game's events, where Team Plasma stole his younger sister's Purloin, a gift from their grandfather who had passed away, adding more significance. This act of theft and emotional violation instilled in Hugh an intense, almost singular hatred for Team Plasma. His entire being is consumed by the desire to get that Purloin back and to ensure that no one else suffers the same fate. This makes him incredibly relatable. His anger is justified, and his dedication to his sister's happiness is endearing. What makes Hugh unique as a rival is that his primary goal isn't to surpass the player. While he certainly maintains a competitive spirit and battles the player frequently, these battles often serve a dual purpose: to hone his own strength for his mission against Team Plasma, and to assess the player's strength, sometimes even pushing them to become stronger themselves so they can be a reliable ally. He's not trying to be the best for glory, he's trying to be the strongest to achieve justice. His competitive nature is often intertwined with his anger. He can be impulsive and hot-headed, especially when confronting Team Plasma. We see him charge headfirst into dangerous situations, often requiring the player's assistance. This impulsiveness is a direct consequence of his strong emotions, and highlighting his youth and the depth of his trauma. His hatred for Team Plasma is all-encompassing, all-encompassing. He sees all members, both the new and old members of Team Plasma, as equally culpable for the suffering they caused. This is particularly evident in his disdain for the reformed ex-Team Plasma members in Driftvale City. He struggles to comprehend why anyone would forgive them or even interact with them peacefully. However, as the story progresses and he encounters both the cruel reality of the new Team Plasma and the genuine remorse and efforts of the old Team Plasma, his perspective begins to shift. He witnesses the stark difference between Ghetsis' manipulative, power-hungry faction and the former members who were misled by N's ideals. This journey of understanding challenges his initial black and white view of the world. He eventually comes to terms with the complexities of human nature and the idea that people can change, ultimately accepting the aid of the reformed Plasma members. This maturity is a significant step for him in moving beyond vengeance. Despite his fierce demeanor and single-minded focus, Hugh is fundamentally a good person. He is fiercely loyal to the player, whom he views as a trusted friend and partner. He frequently battles alongside the player in multi-battles against Team Plasma, showcasing his trust and camaraderie. His protectiveness extends not just to his sister, but to all Pokémon, as seen when he scolds the owners of a lost herdier at Fluxzy Ranch, underscoring his empathy born from his own painful experience. His relationship with his sister is a constant undercurrent throughout the game, the stolen Purloin, which evolves into a Leopard during their separation, but it can barely recognize him, and his unwavering commitment to her happiness. The emotional payoff of reuniting him with his sister and the recovered Leopards is a poignant moment in the story. Hugh's design, with his spiky blue hair and intense red eyes, perfectly conveys his fiery personality and unwavering determination. His battle music is often cited as one of the best rival themes, reinforcing his strong presence and the stakes of his journey. Hugh is far more than just a battle opponent. He's a dynamic character whose personal quest adds a layer of emotional depth to Black 2 and White 2. His journey from impulsive, revenge-driven youth to a more understanding, still passionate trainer is a compelling one. He represents the consequences of past conflicts and the long road to healing and forgiveness, making him one of the most memorable and well-developed rivals in the Pokémon franchise. In Generation 6, we meet with multiple rivals and friends, Shauna, Tierno, Trevor, and Callum, or Serena. Kalos introduces significant evolution in the rival dynamic by presenting not a singular rival, but an entire group of friends who journey alongside the player character. Each member of this group embodies a different facet of the Pokemon journey. Shauna is primarily focused on the emotional bond with Pokemon and experiencing the sheer joy of the journey. She wants to make fun memories. Tierno aspires to create a Pokemon dance team valuing rhythm, grace, and performance over raw power. He gets easily distracted by watching Pokemon moves, trying to incorporate them into dance. Trevor driven by the goal of completing the Pokedex, valuing data, knowledge, and discovery. He's a shy bookworm whose aim is to aid Professor Sycamore, Callum, or Serena. The main battle rival, the opposite gender protagonist, who also strives to become champion, providing a more traditional competitive element within the group. They are your next-door neighbor. This ensemble of characters journeys together, consistently supporting and challenging each other, including the player character. They do not merely engage in battles, they offer gifts, provide encouragement, and celebrate the player's successes. Their challenges are less about proving superiority and more about fostering shared growth and camaraderie. The multiple rivals in Kalos represent a shift from singular rivalry to an ensemble cast. This multi-perspective approach demonstrates that the Pokemon journey can be a shared experience of collective growth and friendship rather than solely individual competition. It emphasizes the importance of a supportive community in achieving personal goals, adding a layer of social dynamics to the rival system. Furthermore, with Tierno aiming for a dance team and Trevor for Pokedex completion, the Kalos rivals further deconstruct the traditional become the champion goal. This diversity in aspirations suggests that success in the Pokemon world is multifaceted. It reinforces the idea that there are many ways to engage with and find fulfillment in the world of Pokemon, catering to different player interests and broadening the narrative scope beyond just battling. The Pokemon teams of the Kalos rivals reflect their individual aspirations. For instance, Tierno's team often includes Pokemon known for their grace or dancing abilities, while Trevor's team might prioritize Pokemon that help with Pokedex completion or represent diverse types. Shauna's team often includes a starter weak to yours, reflecting her focus on the journey and friendship over competitive advantage. The rivals in Gen 6 are not my cup of tea and don't really have that much depth in them, but let me know what you think in the comments. How from Generation 7, the grandson of the Kahuna. How is a character radiating pure sunshine and optimism. He possesses an incredibly joyful disposition, an enduring love for Malasada, and approaches Pokemon battles with a carefree, enthusiastic attitude. He is never malicious, consistently supportive, and genuinely celebrates the player character's successes. In a friendly twist, he chooses the starter Pokemon that is weak to the player's choice. He reminds you a lot of Barry from Gen 4. Despite his relaxed demeanor, Hao undergoes significant growth throughout his journey. He learns from his losses, not with anger or frustration, frustration, but with a renewed determination to improve. He eventually evolves into a formidable trainer, capable of challenging the Elite Four. His grandfather, Hala, the kahuna of Melamele Island, serves as a quiet, guiding influence, subtly shaping Hao's development. Hao's consistently positive and supportive demeanor creates a unique rival dynamic, where the player feels encouraged rather than threatened. This again shows rivalry can be a source of mutual positive reinforcement, showing that competition does not require antagonism to be effective for growth. His character emphasizes the joy of the journey and the bonds formed, rather than just the outcome of battles. Unlike rivals driven by trauma or intense ambition, Hao's growth is fueled by his sheer enjoyment of Pokemon and battling. This joyful approach demonstrates that significant personal and battling strength can be achieved through passion and fun, not solely through hardship or the intense pressure. It offers a refreshing perspective on motivation and success within the Pokemon world. In Iki Town, the first friendly battle takes place. Hao is introduced as soon as you arrive in Iki Town. He's excited about getting his first Pokemon and immediately challenges you to a battle. He chooses the starter that is weak to yours, a reversal of the traditional rival dynamic, emphasizing his friendly nature. After the festival, Hao battles you again. He's still cheerful, but his losses begin to subtly push him to improve, though he maintains his fun-loving attitude. Hao challenges you in Paniola Town, his team growing stronger. He's still supportive, but his determination to improve is becoming more evident. Hao's team at Paniola Town features a Pichu, Noibat, and your weak-type starter. We next see him at Melee City, where we battle him again. This battle marks a turning point for Hao. He's starting to take the island challenge more seriously, realizing that losing a battle because all you're really doing is having fun is, well, you can't let down your Pokemon when they're fighting their hardest for you now, can you? He begins to train more diligently with his grandfather, Hala. Hao's team at Melee City consists of a Pikachu, Vaporeon Jolteon, or Flareon Evolution, depends on your starter, Noibat, and your weak-type starter. Our next battle takes place at Mount Lanakila, the Pokemon League. Hao challenges you at Mount Lanakila just before the Elite Four. He's now a formidable trainer, having overcome his initial carefree attitude to become truly strong. He expresses that it's hard to be strong enough to admit that you're weak. Hao's team at Mount Lanakila, Alolan Raichu, Evolution Noivern, Flareon, your weak-type starter. In the post-game, Hao can challenge you for the champion title, showcasing his continued growth and dedication. He remains a supportive friend, celebrating your achievements even as he strives to surpass you. Hao's Pokemon team progression, particularly his signature Alolan Raichu, visually represents how a relaxed, positive approach can still lead to a powerful and effective team, reinforcing his unique character arc. His journey is a refreshing take on the rival dynamic, proving that competition can be a source of joy and mutual growth rather than antagonism. Gladion, the fiercely independent rival in Pokemon Sun, Moon. His story is steeped in familial complexity, a desperate desire for strength, and a compelling arc of self-discovery and eventual reconciliation. Unlike rivals motivated by simple ambition or friendly competition, Gladion is driven by a deep-seated need to protect, making his journey and interactions with the player particularly resonant. Gladion's backstory is central to understanding his motivations. He is the son of Lusamine, the president of the Ether Foundation, a seemingly shadowy organization dedicated to Pokemon conservation. However, beneath the surface of Lusamine's philanthropy lies an ultimately destructive obsession with the Ultra Beasts, creatures from alternate dimensions that first appeared through Ultra Wormholes. This obsession stemmed from the tragic loss of her husband and her subsequent belief that the Ultra Beasts held a key to seeing him again. Growing up in this wicked environment, Gladion witnessed his mother's increasing fixation at first hand. He also came to care deeply for a specific Pokemon created by the Ether Foundation, type Null. This artificial Pokemon was designed to be an anti-Ultra Beast weapon based on the god of Pokemon, capable of adapting to any opponent due to its RKS system and its various memory modules. However, the immense power and instability of type Null led to it being deemed a failure and subjected to restrictive control helmets that suppressed its true abilities and caused it considerable pain. Unable to bear witnessing type, Null's suffering and witnessing his mother's descent into obsession, Gladion made a pivotal decision. He stole type Null from the Ether Foundation, along with several memory drives. This act of rebellion and compassion set him on a path of self-imposed exile and a relentless pursuit of strength. He believed that by training himself type Null, whom he later names Silvally after it breaks free from its control mask and evolves, he could protect it from his mother's dangerous experiments and potentially find a way to unlock its full potential to combat the Ultra Beasts. This theft and the protection of Silvally become the foundational elements of his identity and his journey throughout the Alola region. Type Null, bearing the weight of its artificial origins and restrictive helmet. Gladion's interactions with the player are complex and evolve significantly throughout the narrative. Initially, he appears cold and intensely focused on his own training. His battles with the player are not born out of playful competition, but rather a need to test his own strength and the progress of Silvally. He often offers curt remarks and seems dismissive, creating an initial impression of a brooding and distant figure. However, as the player progresses progresses and demonstrates their own strength and dedication to protecting Alola, Gladion begins to acknowledge their capabilities. He observes the player's interactions with other people and Pokemon, witnessing a genuine kindness and connection that contrasts with the trained and manipulative environment of the Ether Foundation under his mother's control. Crucially, the player's involvement in confronting Team Skull and later the Ether Foundation directly aligns with Gladion's own goals. While he prefers to operate independently, he often finds himself crossing paths with the player, sometimes reluctantly accepting their assistance or even offering his own, albeit with a characteristic air of stoicism. These shared experiences, particularly their confrontations with the escalating threat of the Ultra Beasts and Lucamine's increasingly erratic behavior, forge a bond of mutual respect between them. As Silvally evolves after forming a strong bond with Gladion, Gladion's team composition begins to reflect a more confident and nuanced approach. Crobat, Silvally, now free from its helmet, representing Gladion's success in nurturing its potential. Its typing changes based on the memory module it holds, showcasing Gladion's strategic adaptability. A Lucario, Weevil. The climax of Gladion's personal journey arrives with the player's infiltration of Ether Paradise and the confrontation with Lucamine. As Lucamine's obsession with the Ultra Beast reaches its peak, fueled by Nihilego neurotoxins, Gladion stands alongside the player to try and reason with his mother and ultimately stop her destructive actions. These moments are emotionally charged, revealing the deep pain and conflict within Gladion as he witnesses the extent of his mother's delusion. Following Lucamine's defeat and the subsequent threat posed by the Ultra Beasts themselves, Gladion actively participates in the Ultra Beast response team, working alongside the player and other key characters to protect Alola. This marks a significant shift in his character. He moves from being a lone wolf driven by personal vengeance to a contributing member of a team dedicated to the greater good. In the aftermath, with Lucamine undergoing treatment and the Ether Foundation restructuring, Gladion takes on a more proactive role within the organization, working to rebuild its image and ensure its focus is genuinely on Pokemon conservation. He becomes a guardian figure for his mother and his younger sister Lily, demonstrating a newfound sense of responsibility and familial connection, albeit still tinged with his characteristic reservedness. Gladion's journey is a powerful story of rebellion against flawed authority, the bond between a trainer and their Pokemon formed in adversity, and the slow but meaningful process of healing and reconciliation. He begins as a troubled youth, haunted by his past and driven by a singular, almost vengeful purpose. Through his interactions with the player, his experiences confronting Team Skull and the Ether Foundation, and the evolution of his relationship with Silvally, he gradually learns to trust, to rely on others, and to embrace his role in protecting the Alola region. His final appearances in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, where he often aids the player in the Ultra Recon Squad storyline, further solidify his transformation into a reliable ally and a protector of Alola. He remains a fiercely independent individual, but his motivations have broadened beyond his personal vendetta to encompass the well-being of both Pokemon and people. Gladion's story is a testament to the idea that strength isn't just about powerful Pokemon, it's also about inner resolve, compassion, and the willingness to confront one's past and embrace a more hopeful future. His complex backstory, his unique bond with Silvally, his strained yet ultimately meaningful family relationships, and his evolving dynamic with the player make him one of the most memorable and well-developed rival characters in the Pokemon series. Generation 8. Hop is introduced as the younger brother of Leon, the undefeated champion of Galar. This familial connection immediately places immense pressure on him. He idolizes Leon, often mimicking his catchphrases and battle style. His entire journey is defined by his struggle to forge his own identity and emerge from his brother's overwhelming shadow. He initially picks the star to Pokemon weak to the players, mirroring the friendly rival trope. Hop experiences significant emotional highs and lows throughout his adventure. He starts with an almost unshakable overconfidence, but repeated losses, particularly to the player character and Bede, shake his self-assurance. He begins to question his abilities and the path he has chosen. In response, he experiments with different Pokemon and battle strategies, desperately seeking what truly works for him. His character is fundamentally shaped by his relationship with his famous brother Leon. Leon's overwhelming success creates immense pressure and a crisis of identity for Hop. This illustrates that even in a world of adventure, characters face relatable struggles with self-worth, living up to expectations, and finding their own unique path when overshadowed by a successful family member. His initial overconfidence and subsequent self-doubt are direct consequences of this burden. Hop's arc culminates in a powerful moment of self-acceptance. He realizes that his true path might not be to become champion, but to become a Pokemon professor, dedicating himself to supporting others' journeys. This decision represents a resolution to his identity crisis. His ultimate decision to pursue a career as a Pokemon professor instead of the champion title is a resolution to his identity crisis. This journey of self-doubt and exploration demonstrates that true success is not always about achieving the most prestigious title, but about finding a role where one can genuinely contribute and feel fulfilled. It reinforces the theme that there are many valuable ways to participate in the Pokemon world beyond battling, echoing Bianca's arc, but with a distinct emotional weight. Hop is introduced as Leon's brother, immediately setting up the pressure he faces. He's overly confident, believing he's destined for greatness because of his lineage. He chooses the starter weak to yours, and challenges you in the slumbering Weald. Hop battles you in Motostoke. Still confident despite early losses, he's eager to prove himself, but his overconfidence often leads to his defeat. This is a critical point. Hop loses badly to Beat, who taunts him, saying he's worthless and bringing his brother's name down. This deeply affects Hop, shattering his self-confidence and forcing him to confront his limitations. He begins to question everything. Hop starts experimenting with different Pokemon and strategies, trying to find his own style rather than just mimicking Leon. He's still struggling, but he's actively working on himself. Hop's team at Hammerlock, a Dubwool, Corvisquire, Pincurchin, Snorlax, your weak-type starter. We then meet him at Winden Stadium, the final test. Hop battles you in the Champion Cup, having come a long way. He's still aiming for the top, but his perspective has broadened. He's no longer just trying to be Leon. He's trying to be the best version of himself. Hop's Champion Cup team, a Dubwool, Corviknight, Pincurchin, Snorlax, your weak-type starter, and Zamazenta. After the main story, Hop realizes his true passion lies not in becoming champion, but in becoming a Pokemon professor. He dedicates himself to research, finding a fulfilling path that is truly his own. He can be battled in the post-game, often with a stronger, more refined team reflecting his new direction. Hop's Pokemon team changes significantly throughout his journey as he tries different strategies and Pokemon, visually reflecting his internal struggle to find his own identity as a trainer. This dynamic of team evolution makes his eventual path as a professor more impactful, showing he found his niche outside of direct competition. Marnie from Generation 8, the Spikemuth Star. Marnie is a popular trainer originating from the gritty Spikemuth City, instantly recognizable by her punk rock aesthetic and the unwavering loyalty of her fan club, Team Yell. Despite her somewhat intimidating appearance, she is surprisingly shy and soft-spoken. Her primary motivation is not personal glory, but a deep-seated desire to become champion in order to revitalize her hometown, which has been overshadowed by other more prominent cities. Marnie is the younger sister of Piers, the Spikemuth gym leader and a former rock star. Their bond is strong, with Piers actively supporting her dream. Marnie's journey is characterized by quiet and steadfast determination, focused on continuous improvement for the sake of her community. Her battles are intense and engaging, yet she consistently maintains a respectful demeanor. Marnie's primary motivation is not personal glory, but the revitalizations of her hometown, Spikemuth City. Her dedication to her community demonstrates that a Pokemon journey can be driven by altruistic motives. However, her actual personality is shy and soft-spoken. This contrast shows that appearances can be deceiving, and true character often lies beneath the surface. It encourages players to look beyond initial impressions and appreciate the nuanced personalities of the characters they encounter. Marnie is first encountered in Motostoke, accompanied by her boisterous fan club Team Yell, who try to obstruct other trainers to help her. Despite their antics, Marnie herself is polite and focused on battling. Her quiet determination is evident as she continues her journey, focused on improving for Spikemuth. Marnie's team at the mines, a Morpeko, Perrserker, and a Krogonk. Marnie is deeply connected to Spikemuth, and her goal is to bring attention and life back to her city. She battles you here, showcasing her resolve. Team Yell's actions are revealed to be out of loyalty to her and their town, not malice. Marnie is a participant in the Champion Cup, battling fiercely to achieve her dream of becoming champion for Spikemuth. She's a strong opponent, but always respectful. Marnie's team at the Champion Cup, Morpeko, Scrafty, Toxicroak, Leopard, and a Grimmsnarl. After the main story, Marnie becomes the new gym leader of Spikemuth, fulfilling her goal of bringing life back to her hometown. You can battle her daily in Spikemuth, and she gives you her a rare league card. Marnie's team is the gym leader, Morpeko, Scrafty, Toxicroak, Leopard, Grimmsnarl, Obstagoon. Marnie's Pokemon team, particularly her signature Morpeko and her focus on Dark-type Pokemon, is central to her identity and appeal. Tracking her team's evolution showcases her consistent battle style and her growth as a trainer, reinforcing her quiet determination and her unique aesthetic. Bede is one of the rivals in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and his character arc is a journey from arrogant privilege to humbled. His backstory and relationships with other characters are central to his development. Bede's story begins in an orphanage where he lived after his family encountered trouble. He was known for being difficult to get along with and would often get into fights. His life changed when he was visited by Chairman Rose of the Galar Pokemon League, who saw talent in him and gave him a Pokemon. Rose personally sponsored Bede's participation in the Gym Challenge, an endorsement Bede wears as a badge of honor. This connection to Chairman Rose is the foundation of Bede's initial personality. He is arrogant and believes his sponsorship from the most influential person in Galar makes him superior to other challengers, including the player and Hop. He is fiercely loyal to Rose, and is single-mindedly focused on proving his worth to him, even at the cost of his own integrity. This is revealed when he goes on a quest to gather wishing stars for Rose, which leads him to his downfall. He destroys a historic landmark in Stow-on-Side. This act leads to his public disqualification from the gym challenge by Rose himself, leaving Bede feeling abandoned and without a purpose. Hop, in Marnie Bede's rivalry with the player, is a classic jerk rival archetype. He is rude and dismissive, and his battles with the player are often a means to assert his perceived superiority. He doesn't see the player as a true rival, but rather as an obstacle to be overcome. His interactions with Hop are particularly pointed. Bede mocks Hop's reliance on his older brother, Champion Leon, and questions his ability as a trainer. This criticism hits a nerve with Hop, who is already struggling with the pressure of living in his brother's shadow. Bede's harsh words and a subsequent off-screen battle where Bede defeats Hop badly lead to Hop's temporary depression and self-doubt, ultimately forcing Hop to re-evaluate his training style and team composition. Bede's connection to Marnie is less direct than with the player or Hop. While they are both rivals in the gym challenge, their interactions are not as frequent or as personal. Marnie's focus is on bringing prestige into her hometown of Spikemuth, while Bede is focused on his personal ambition and proving himself to Rose. They don't have a close relationship, but they do share the experience of being gym challengers. After his disqualification, a dejected Bede is found by Opal, the fairy-type gym leader of Balonlay. Opal, who sees something in him despite his arrogance, decides to take him on as her apprentice. She forces him to take on the role of her successor, a position he reluctantly accepts. This marks a turning point in Bede's character. He changes his team from his initial psychic-type specialty to fairy-type Pokémon, reflecting his new role. Bede's teams reflect his character's journey. His initial team includes psychic types like Hatena, Gothita, and Solosis. This team represents his single-minded focus on power and his own elitist attitude. After becoming Opal's apprentice, his team transitions to fairy types. His key Pokémon include Mawile, Gardevoir, Galarian Rapidash, and his ace, Hatterene. This change shows his growth and adaptation, and his eventual pride in his new specialty. Under Opal's mentorship, Bede undergoes a subtle but significant transformation. While he remains prideful and a bit sharp-tongued, he begins to mature. He starts to value the strength of his new team and the trust placed in him by Opal. He no longer defines himself solely by his connection to Chairman Rose. In the post-game story, Bede battles the player once more as the new gym leader of Balonlea. This final battle is not a test of superiority, but a legitimate challenge between two respected trainers. After his defeat, he had planned on using the battle as an excuse to quit being a gym leader, but the crowd's unexpected support makes him realize his new purpose. He accepts his new role with sincerity, vowing to become a master of fairy-type Pokémon and surpass even Opal, demonstrating that he has found a new, self-defined path forward. Bede's story is a compelling character arc about a flawed individual finding a new purpose and a genuine connection to both his Pokémon and his new community, moving beyond the shadow of a mentor who ultimately failed him. Nemona, Arven, and Penny from Paldea. Paldea introduces a revolutionary open-world structure with 3 distinct story paths, each centered around one of these compelling rivals, creating a rich tapestry of interconnected narratives that converge with the player character's journey. Nemona, the battle-obsessed champion pushing the player's limits. Nemona is a senior at the academy and already a champion-ranked trainer. She's utterly obsessed with battling and constantly seeks out strong opponents, finding immense joy in challenging others and pushing them to grow. She serves as the player's primary battle rival, always eager for a fight. In a unique twist, she picks the starter Pokémon that is strong against the player's choice, immediately setting a high bar for competition. She admits she feels lonely because she's so strong, and is attached to the player because they can finally challenge her. Arven, the culinary quest, the search for healing, and his bond with Mabosstiff. Arven is initially aloof, driven by a deeply personal quest to find Herba Mystica to heal his injured Mabosstiff. His journey is emotional and rooted in his love for his Pokémon. He functions more as a narrative rival, whose story intertwines with the players through the Path of Legends storyline. His battles are often undertaken reluctantly, but he is fiercely protective of Mabosstiff. Penny is a shy, introverted student who secretly leads Team Star, a group of rebellious students. Her story unfolds through the Starfall Street arc, gradually revealing her past experiences with bullying and her underlying desire to protect her friends. She is a rival with a hidden identity and complex motivations, and her battles feature her unique team of evolutions. Paldea's 3 main rivals are not just multiple characters. They represent distinct interwoven narrative paths that the player can tackle in any order. This non-linear storytelling demonstrates that the Pokémon game narrative can be highly flexible and player-driven, moving beyond the traditional linear progression. It allows for a more personalized experience, where the player actively chooses which rival story to prioritize, deepening their engagement with each character's arc. Nemona's pure love of battling, Arven's deeply personal quest for healing, and Penny's mission to protect her friends and dismantle a bullying system represent the most diverse set of rival motivations seen to date. This variety in motivations illustrates that the Pokemon world is rich with different reasons for embarking on a journey. It significantly expands the thematic scope of the games, showing that a Pokemon adventure can be about personal healing, social justice, or pure competitive joy, making the world feel more dynamic and relatable to a wider audience. Nemona is the first character you meet, guiding you through the early parts of the game. She immediately challenges you to a battle, eager to test your strength, and chooses the starter strong against yours. Nemona frequently appears before gym challenges, eager to battle and push your limits. She's genuinely excited by your growth and the prospect of a strong opponent. Her battles are always intense, reflecting her passion. Her team grows with yours, always featuring her chosen starter and other strong Pokemon like Palmot, Lycanroc, and Orthworm. She has a full team of 6 by later encounters. After you collect all 8 gym badges, Nemona challenges you to a final assessment battle to determine if you're truly champion material. This is her ultimate expression of joy in battling a worthy opponent. Nemona's team right before the champion: Lycanroc, Palmot, Orthworm, Dunsparce, Arboliva, your counter-type starter, Arven's Path, the Path of Legends. Arven initially seems distant, focused solely on his quest for Herba Mystica to heal his injured Mabosstiff. He's not interested in traditional Pokemon battles, only in his goal. You assist Arven in battling the Titan Pokemon to gather Herba Mystica. After each victory, he uses the herb to try and heal Mabosstiff, revealing his deep emotional connection to his partner. His battles are often reluctant, but he fights fiercely when Mabosstiff is involved. Arven's team primarily consists of Pokemon that help him on his quest, such as Scovelin and Greedent, alongside his beloved Mabosstiff. Arven's story culminates in Area 0, where he confronts his past and his parents' legacy. He battles alongside you, showing his growing trust and friendship. Arven's team: Mabosstiff, Scovelin, Toedscruel, Cloyster, Garganacl. Arven becomes a close friend, and his journey is a powerful narrative about love, loss, and healing. He can be found at the League Club in the Blueberry Academy DLC. Penny's Path. Shy and mysterious. Penny is introduced as a shy, introverted student who avoids school. She's initially mysterious, only communicating through a hidden identity as the boss of Team Star. You challenge the various Team Star bases, unknowingly dismantling Penny's own organization. Her motivation is gradually revealed. She formed Team Star to combat bullying, and she's trying to disband it herself to protect her friends. Penny's team exclusively consists of evolutions, reflecting her unique connection to them and her desire to protect her friends. Penny reveals her identity and battles you, explaining her past and her reasons for creating Team Star. This battle is about acceptance and finding a way to move forward. Penny's final Team Star battle features an Umbreon, Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Leafeon, and a Sylveon. Post-game, Penny becomes a trusted friend, working to help Team Star members reintegrate into the Academy. She can also be found at the League Club in the Blueberry Academy DLC. The Pokemon teams of Nemona, Arven, and Penny are distinct and directly reflect their motivations and battle styles. Nemona's team is designed for competitive battling. Arven's focuses on Pokemon that might aid his quest, and Penny's exclusive use of evolutions underscores her unique identity and connection to her friends. Their interwoven stories create a dynamic and emotionally resonant narrative, showcasing the diverse ways individuals can find purpose and growth in the Paldea region. Pokemon Legends. Volo, at first glance, appears to be a friendly and eccentric merchant in the Hisui region. However, a deeper analysis reveals a much more sinister and complex character, one whose ambition and obsession with the mythical Arceus drives the entire plot of Pokemon Legends. He is a master manipulator, a formidable opponent, and arguably one of the most memorable antagonists in the series' history. From the very beginning of the game, Volo is presented as a helpful, albeit strange, ally to the player. He is a member of the Ginkgo Guild, a traveling merchant group, and constantly expresses his fascination with the region's ancient lore and legendary Pokemon. He is a constant presence, appearing at various points to offer advice, share stories about Sinnoh's myths, and even engage the player in casual battles. His polite, smiling demeanor and seemingly genuine interest in the player's journey are all part of a carefully crafted facade. Volo's interactions with the player are a long con. He consistently guides the player toward specific goals. Investigating the frenzied nobles, seeking out the plates, and learning about the Lake Trio, he feigns surprise and excitement when the player succeeds, all while covertly using their progress to further his own plans. He is essentially using the player as a pawn to gather all the necessary tools to summon Arceus, a task he is unable to do himself due to the game's mechanics. His friendly battles are not just for fun, they are tests to gauge the player's strength and to see if they are a worthy key to unlocking his ultimate goal. Volo's true nature is revealed in a stunning twist at the end of the game. After the player gathers all the plates and seemingly completes their journey, Volo confronts them. His friendly smile vanishes, replaced by a look of wild and unhinged obsession. He reveals that he was the one who caused the space-time rift above Mount Coronet, and he orchestrated all the game's major events, including the frenzied Pokemon, to draw out the player and the plates. This revelation completely recontextualizes his character. His cheerful cheerful facade was a mask for a deep-seated, dangerous ambition. He wasn't helping the player out of kindness, he was using them as a tool. His entire character is a study in how obsession can corrupt even the most outwardly charming individual. His goal is not only to see Arceus, to control it and reshape the world in his image, believing himself worthy of such power. Volo's team is a reflection of his power and his true allegiances. He uses a formidable team of 6 Pokémon, each chosen for their strength and strategic value. Spirit Tomb. This ghost/dark type is a perfect representation of Volo's sinister nature. His team is a direct replication of Champion Cynthia's team in the future. Hisuian Arcanine, a powerful and fast fire/rock type that showcases his ability to command a variety of Pokémon. Roserade, a poison/grass type that provides status conditions and is a tricky opponent to face. Lucario, a fan favorite fighting/steel type known for its speed and attack. Garchomp, a pseudo-legendary dragon/ground type that is notoriously powerful and a testament to his high-level training. Tugkiss, a fairy/flying type that provides great defensive support and is a strong special attacker. This well-balanced team is an incredibly challenging final boss fight, but it's only half the battle. After the player defeats his team, Volo reveals his true ace in the hole. He used the power of the Distortion World to summon the Renegade Pokémon, a creature he had been studying and using to create the space-time rift. This final battle cements his status as a villain on par with the likes of Cyrus and Ghetsis. He wasn't just a powerful trainer, he was an individual who sought to manipulate and control the very fabric of reality itself. Volo's character arc is one of the most effective and memorable in the Pokémon franchise. He is a villain who hides in plain sight, using a friendly and eccentric persona to fool not only the player, but the entire cast of characters. His downfall comes not from a lack of power, but from his hubris. He believes he is worthy of a godlike power, but he fails to account for the unbreakable bond between the player and their Pokémon. His defeat is a poetic justice, as his ambition and manipulation are ultimately undone by the very thing he sought to control, a world in which people and Pokémon can work together. The journey through the stories of Pokémon's rivals reveals an evolution in character design and narrative depth, from Blue, the original antagonist driven by pure competition, to complex figures seeking redemption like Silver, individuals overcoming personal challenges like Wally, and those finding their own unique paths like Bianca and Hop. These characters consistently enrich the player's experience. Others, like N, challenge fundamental ideals, while some, like Hao and the Kalos friends, simply shared the joy of the journey. Their stories are a tapestry woven with threads of growth, friendship, intense competition, self-discovery, and at times, tragedy. They push the player character, offer support, and ultimately make the player's own journey richer and more meaningful. Rivals are far more than mere obstacles. They are essential characters who embody the core themes of the Pokémon universe. They demonstrate that strength is not solely about winning battles, but about perseverance, empathy, and the unbreakable bonds forged with Pokémon. They serve as a constant reminder that even competitors can be the greatest teachers and friends, shaping not just the player's team, but their understanding of the world and their place within it. The true heroes of Pokémon are indeed often the rivals who, through their own struggles and triumphs, push the player character to greatness and illuminate in the multifaceted nature of the Pokémon journey. Every legendary Pokémon you can catch before the Elite Four in each region. Here's something that'll blow your mind. You've probably walked past dozens of legendary Pokémon without even realizing it. While everyone's rushing to become champion, there's an entire army of legendary creatures just sitting there waiting to be caught, and most players never even find them. Here's the thing that makes this absolutely wild. Some of these legendaries are available so early in the game that you could theoretically have a team of the gods before your 3rd gym badge. I'm not talking about post-game content or some mythical endgame grind. I'm talking about legitimate catchable legendaries that the game practically throws at you, and somehow 90% of players miss them completely. Let's start with something that'll mess with your head completely. In the original Red and Blue, you can catch Zapdos before you even fight Lieutenant Surge. Yeah, you heard that right. The moment you get Surf, you can surf over to the power plant and grab a level 50 electric legendary, while the rest of your team is probably sitting around level 25. Here's the crazy part. Zapdos in Generation 1 is absolutely broken. It's got Drill Peck for coverage, Thunder that actually hits reliably because of its sky-high special stat, and it's faster than pretty much everything in the game. Lance's Flying Dragons? Zapdos eats those at breakfast. But wait, it gets better. All 3 legendary birds are available before the Elite Four in the original Red and Blue games. Articuno is chilling in the Seafoam Islands with Ice Beam ready to destroy Lance's entire team. Moltres is literally sitting in Victory Road. You walk past it on your way to the Pokemon League. Most players see Victory Road as his final challenge, not realizing they're walking past one of the strongest Pokemon in the entire game. Now here's where Pokemon got really sneaky in Generation 2. Gold and Silver have this weird timing thing with their box legendaries that most players never figure out. In Gold, you can catch Ho-Oh at level 40 right after dealing with Team Rocket at the radio tower. That's before the Elite Four. Meanwhile, Silver players get Lugia at the same point. same level. The legendary beasts in these games are where things get absolutely chaotic. After you wake them up in the burnt tower, they start roaming randomly across Johto. Most players encounter them once, watch them run away, and assume they're gone forever. Wrong. They're still out there, they just keep fleeing every single battle unless you trap them. Here's the most experienced Pokemon experts use. Get a Pokemon with mean look or block. Find one of the beasts, use the trapping move, then start chucking Ultra Balls. Their stats carry over between encounters, so that paralysis you inflicted 3 routes ago, still there. That damage you dealt, still counts. You're basically playing a region-wide game of hide-and-seek with Pokemon that could single-handedly wreck the Elite Four. So far, you can rock up to the Elite Four in Kanto with the 3 legendary birds. And in Johto, you can rock up to the Elite Four with Ho-Oh or Lugia and Entei, Raikou and Suicune. 4 legendaries to fight the Elite Four is absolutely busted. Generation 3 is where Pokemon started getting absolutely wild with legendary availability. The real hidden gems are the Regi Trio. These 3 are available in all the Gen 3 games, and they require solving what's basically an ancient conspiracy theory to access them. You need Wailord and Relicanth in specific party positions, you need to solve Braille puzzles underwater, and then you need to solve more Braille puzzles in 3 separate ruins scattered across Gen 3. Real quick, consider liking and subscribing. We're really close to the 3,000 subscriber mark. Anyways, let's continue. 90% of players see these ruins, can't figure out the puzzle, and leave. Meanwhile, the 10% who solve it get access to 3 level 40 legendary Pokemon with unique typing combinations. Regirock is pure rock, Registeel is pure steel, Regice is pure ice. These are defensive powerhouses that can wall entire teams. Emerald takes this to the next level by giving you Rayquaza during the story. Rayquaza descends from the skies with a heavenly light and spanks the shit out his 2 children. After Rayquaza's immense spiritual pressure, Rayquaza returns back to Sky Pillar to sleep once again, until a 10-year-old throws a Master Ball and the Great Serpent of the Sky is your bitch. In Pokemon Emerald, you're allowed to capture Rayquaza at level 70 prior to challenging the Elite Four. Unlike other legendaries, which are typically reserved for post-game encounters, the path to acquiring Rayquaza involves navigating the Sky Pillar, which requires the Mach Bike to traverse cracked floors, the most atrocious Pokemon puzzle to ever exist. You gotta effectively weaken and capture the level 70 Rayquaza, or just throw a Master Ball at the God of the Skies, and he's yours to keep forever. However, by making it available before the Elite Four at an already level 70, the power balance breaks completely. The team Pokemon you would have by the time you reach the end of the story should already be enough to fight the Elite Four, adding a level 70, essentially giving you the legendary with the most busted base stats to your already capable roster of a team, creates an overwhelming power creep against the Elite Four, whose Pokemon are significantly lower in level. This design decision effectively bypasses the traditional progression curve, where players are meant to gradually level up and strategize their team to overcome the end of the game. Instead, Rayquaza offers a direct and immediate advantage, undermining the intended difficulty of the Elite Four and sense of earned accomplishment for the game's concluding challenge. So for Gen 3 exclusively in Emerald, you can rock up to the Elite Four with Regice, Registeel, and Regirock, and freaking Rayquaza. 4 legendaries inside a 10-year-old's balls once again to fight the Elite Four is crazy. Fire Red and Leaf Green do something interesting with the legendary birds. They move Moltres to the Sevi Islands, which means you can access all 3 birds earlier than in the originals. The crazy part? These remakes have better AI and more diverse movesets, so these legendary birds are actually more useful than they were in the original games. Generation 4 continues the trend of story-mandatory legendaries. Diamond and Pearl literally will not let you progress past the Team Galactic storyline without battling Dialga or Palkia at Spear Pillar. Level 47, signature moves. Dialga's Roar of Time is essentially a nuclear option. It hits harder than almost anything else in the game, and you can have it before the champion fight. But here's what most players miss. The Lake Trio becomes available right after the Dialga or Palkia encounter. Yuxi, Mesprit, and Azelf are sitting at level 50 in their respective lakes, and each one has a unique stat distribution that makes them useful for different Elite Four members. Yuxi has ridiculous defensive stats, Azelf has crazy offensive stats, and Mesprit's perfectly balanced. Platinum does something absolutely brilliant by replacing the Dialga Palkia encounter with Giratina in the Distortion World. This isn't just a legendary encounter, it's a whole alternate dimension. The music is haunting, and you're chasing down the literal embodiment of antimatter. Here's the thing about Giratina that most players don't realize. Its origin form in Platinum has a completely different stat distribution than its altered form in other games. Higher attack, different typing interactions, and it looks way cooler. Plus you get to experience one of the most memorable sequences in Pokemon history. Heart Gold and Soul Silver bring back the box legendary timing from the originals, but with a twist. The encounters are now mandatory story events tied to the Kimono Girl subplot. You can't just ignore Ho-Oh or Lugia. The game forces you to confront them as part of the Team Rocket storyline. The legendary beasts get a complete overhaul too. In Pokemon Crystal, instead of the purely random roaming of the originals. Suicune in particular gets its own storyline. You chase it across multiple locations, learn about its connection to the Burn Tower tragedy, and finally battle it at full strength at Route 25. It's like having a mini-movie about one specific legendary Pokemon. Generation 5 gets weird with legendary availability. Black and White have this interesting approach where they give you access to several mid-tier legendaries throughout the story, then save the really powerful stuff for the climax. The Sacred Swords trio, Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion, are scattered across Unova and available as soon as you have the right HMs. These aren't game-breaking powerhouses like some other legendaries, but they're solid, reliable Pokemon with unique Steel, Slash-Fighting, Rock-Slash-Fighting, and Grass-Slash-Fighting typings. Fighting-type moves are incredible against the Elite Four, and having 3 different secondary types gives you coverage options most players never consider. But the real showstopper is the forced Reshiram or Zekrom encounter right before the Elite Four. This isn't optional. The game literally will not progress until you catch one of these dragons. Level 50, signature moves, incredible stats, and you get it right before the most important battles of the game. Here's something most players don't know. If your party and boxes are full when this encounter happens, the game lets you progress without catching it, but then you can find it later at Dragon Spiral Tower, so technically you could catch Reshiram and Zekrom, box it immediately, and still have it available for Elite Four rematches. Black 2 and White 2 simplify the legendary availability by just placing the Sacred Swords trio on random routes throughout Unova. No complex requirements, no hidden puzzles. Cobalion's just standing in the middle of Route 13 like it belongs there. It's almost comical how straightforward it is compared to their original locations, but I bet some of you didn't know that you could get Latios and Latias in Black 2 and White 2. Once you've gotten your 7th badge, you can go to Dreamyard and there you find Latios in Black 2 and Latias in White 2. There you can run up to it multiple times and then finally encounter it, and catch it at level 68 before the Elite Four and Champion fight, which is wild. In Black 2 and White 2, you can actually get Regirock before the Elite Four. To catch Regirock in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, head to Route 6 and use a Pokemon with Surf to reach the Clay Tunnel entrance. Navigate through Clay Tunnel to locate and enter the underground ruins. Using Flash is highly recommended for visibility inside the cave. In the central chamber of the underground ruins where Regirock's inactive form is, stand precisely in the center. From that spot, take exactly 6 steps south, then exactly 9 steps east. If steps are executed correctly, Regirock will awaken. Save your game immediately, engage in battle with the level of 65 Regirock, and you can catch it and use it against the Elite Four. After you catch Regirock, you get either a Steel Key or an Ice Key depending on your version. In Black 2 you get Regi Steel, and in White 2 you get Regi Ice, meaning you can bring an entire team of legendaries to fight against the Elite Four in Black 2 and White 2, the 3 Swords of Justice. Either Reshiram or Zekrom and Regirock, and either Regi Steel or Regi Ice, depending on your version, which is absolutely crazy, and I wish I knew this earlier. Oh, and freaking Latios. Generation 6 continues the mandatory box legendary trend. X and Y force you to catch Xerneas or Evaltal during the Team Player storyline, and these Pokemon are legitimately broken. Xerneas has Fairy-type moves that didn't exist in earlier generations, plus access to Geomancy, which boosts 3 different stats at once. Evaltal gets Dark-type Stab and the terrifying Oblivion Wing. But you can technically get one of the Weather Birds in X and Y, depending on your starter. But it takes a really long time and it's a rather lengthy process on getting it. So it's only the box legendaries for X and Y. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire bring back the Regi Trio puzzles, but now they're even more elaborate. The Underwater Chamber puzzle returns, but the individual Regi encounters have new mechanics, and the whole thing feels like participating in an archaeological dig. But ORAS also introduces something completely new. The DexNav Legendary Tracking System. This isn't about pre-Elite Four encounters specifically, but it changes how you interact with legendary Pokemon throughout the entire game. You can track their locations, see their stats before encountering them, and plan your strategies accordingly. In Auras, you also get one of the Eon duos who asks for your help. And what's crazy is that Latios and Latias can Mega Evolve right after you catch them. So technically you can bring the box legendary, the 3 Regis and one of the Eon duos depending on your version.
The level 30 Lati joins your team as thanks, and it's holding a Mega Stone, and then Steven gives you the Mega Bracelet. From that point on, you can use Mega Latios or Latias on your team. These Pokemon, in their Mega forms, have base stat totals of 700. That is greater than base form Groudon and Kyogre. And you don't even have 6 badges!
Generation 7, Sun, Moon, are surprisingly stingy with pre-Elite Four legendaries. Most of the Island Guardians are locked behind completing the Island Trials. Solgaleo and Lunala are story locked, and they are the only ones you can catch before the Pokemon League. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon add Necrozma to the available pool, but it's weakened during the story encounter and doesn't become truly powerful until later. But in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you can technically get a very large number of legendary Pokemons before the Elite Four. You can catch Necrozma right before going to the League. Beyond this, you gain access to the Ultra Wormhole system. By flying into the colored wormholes in Ultra Space, you can encounter and catch a vast number of other legendary Pokemon from previous generations. While this process is time-consuming and relies on luck, the opportunity to catch these additional legendaries is unlocked before the Elite Four. You can technically a total of 23 unique additional legendary Pokemon from Ultra Wormholes, which is absolutely mind-blowing, and even I didn't know about this until I was researching for this video. Shoutouts to Michael for inspiring me with this video. But you can get a total of 23 unique legendaries which you can choose from, which you can bring to the champion battle. That is insane. Sword and Shield completely revolutionized the Elite Four concept by replacing it with the Champion Cup tournament system. Eternatus is one of the legendaries you get before the League, and it's completely story mandatory. You can't avoid it, you can't ignore it. The game stops progressing until you catch this massive poison dragon. It has the highest base stat total of any catchable Pokemon in the original Sword and Shield, 1125 total base stats. That's higher than Arceus. You literally get access to one of the strongest Pokemon ever created as part of the main storyline. But did you know that if you had the DLC, you can also get a Cub Fu for the League? As soon as you reach the wild area in the main game, you can travel to the Isle of Armor. Upon arrival, you'll be invited to the Master Dojo and begin training under Master Mustard. After completing these trials, Master Mustard will gift you the legendary Pokemon Cub Fu. To evolve Cub Fu, you need to raise its friendship level and fight either of the towers to get either of the forms of Urshifu. Since all these steps can be completed, as soon as you have access to the wild area in the Isle of Armor, you can indeed get a powerful Urshifu on your team and bring it to challenge the Champion Cups to the battle against Leon. Legends Arceus does something completely unique by giving you access to both Dialga and Palkia during the story climax. You pick which one you want to catch first, battle the other in its origin form, then can catch that one too. It's the first time in the series where you can get both box legendaries as part of the main story without trading. Scarlet and Violet represent the most generous legendary distribution in the series history. Not only do you get Koraidon or Miraidon as part of the story progression, but all 4 Treasures of Ruin are available before the Elite Four if you know where to look. The Treasures of Ruin require collecting colored stakes scattered across Paldea, which sounds complicated but is actually pretty straightforward once you have the movement abilities from this Path of Legend storyline. Wo-Chien, Chien-Pao, Ting-Lu, and Chi-Yu are all level 60 encounters with unique Dark-type combinations and signature abilities, available as early as you want to grind for them. Wo-Chien's ability lowers all opponents' special attack, Chien-Pao lowers their defense, Ting-Lu lowers their attack, and Chi-Yu lowers their special defense. You could theoretically have a team of stat-lowering legendaries before your first Elite Four attempt. And if you have the DLC for Scarlet and Violet, then you can actually get Ogerpon and the Loyal 3 before the League. The beautiful thing about early legendary access is that it completely changes the power curve of Pokemon games. Instead of the steady progression from weak starter to strong team, you get these massive power spikes that make subsequent challenges feel completely different. But here's the deeper game design insight. Pokemon games are balanced around players not knowing about these early legendaries and playing games blind and exploring. The Elite Four's rosters, their movesets, their strategies, all of it assumes you're coming in with regular Pokemon that you caught and trained throughout your journey. When you show up with multiple legendary Pokemon, you're essentially playing the game on a different difficulty setting. Not because you cheated or used glitches, but because you explored more thoroughly and understood the game's systems better than average. Here's something that'll make you want to restart every Pokemon game you've ever played. The speedrunning community has figured out optimal routes for catching multiple early legendaries without significantly impacting completion time. We're talking about strategies that let you grab 3 to 4 legendary Pokemon while still maintaining efficient story progression. The community has also figured out which legendaries are trap choices, Pokemon that seem powerful but don't actually help much with story progression. Some of the more defensive legendaries fall into this category. They're strong, but they don't speed up battles or provide significant advantages over well-trained regular Pokemon. Hit that subscribe button if this changed how you think about Pokemon. Drop a comment telling me which legendary you're going to catch first in your next playthrough. Why these 9 Pokemon are the GOAT of any playthrough out of 1,025 Pokemon. From Kanto to Paldea, these pseudo-legendaries aren't just powerful additions to a team, they are core of the team. They are the backbone, the heavy hitters, the ones who carry players through the toughest battles, smash the Elite Four, and conquer the champion. They are, without a shadow of a doubt, the coolest, most necessary in almost every playthrough, everyone's favorite Pokemon in every single region. And today, we're glazing them, I mean praising them. Generation 1. Dragonite, the pioneer. Dragonite, the original dragon/flying powerhouse, has some truly fascinating roots. Its pre-evolutions, Dratini and Dragonair, are sleek serpentine creatures, but then Dragonite bursts forth as this bipedal orange winged powerhouse. This design shift has puzzled fans for ages, leading some to speculate it wasn't originally intended to evolve from Dragonair due to their completely different designs. This unique design progression, which sets Dragonite apart even from its own evolutionary line, adds to its mystique and highlights the dynamic creative process behind early Pokemon designs. It's almost as if Dragonite was destined to be a unique, accidental force of nature, making it even more special. But wait, there's more than what meets the eye. Recent discoveries suggest Mega Dragonite might be based on the caduceus, the staff carried by Hermes in Greek mythology. The two serpents wrapped around the rod could represent Dratini and Dragonair, with this pair of wings at the tops symbolizing Mega Dragonite's new head wings. This direct connection to Greek mythology is even more exciting, with rumors of a Greek-inspired Gen 10 region possibly featuring new Mega evolutions. It's like they're building up to something legendary. Dragonite's typing is Dragon/Flying, a powerful combo in Generation 1. This dual typing gives it better defenses against bug and fighting types. However, it also brings weaknesses to electric and rock attacks, and a crippling double weakness to ice. In red, blue, and yellow, getting a Dratini meant grinding coins at the Celadon City casino game corner, or painstakingly fishing in the Safari Zone. And if a player wanted a Dragonite directly in yellow, good luck, because they needed a lot of luck to actually take one home from the Safari Zone. This wasn't just a Pokemon, it was a trophy. Players had to suffer for this dragon, and that makes the eventual capture all the more exciting. The sheer difficulty of obtaining Dragonite in the first generation amplified its perceived power and status. The effort required made the eventual payoff of acquiring such a powerful Pokemon feel incredibly earned. Dratini evolves into Dragonair at level 30, and then Dragonair evolves into the magnificent Dragonite at a staggering level 55. That was a serious commitment, especially back in Generation 1, when getting experience felt like a snail's pace. The grind was real, but the payoff was bigger than Lance's entire team combined. Every trainer who endured that grind knows the pain, and they know the glory. Dragonite was an exceptionally powerful Pokemon in Generation 1 due to a combination of its stats, move pool, and game mechanics. While it was a difficult Pokemon to obtain, requiring a significant grind to evolve Dratini at level 30 and Dragonair at level 55, it was well worth the effort. Dragonite's high stats, especially its attack and special stats, which were combined in Generation 1 for special attack and special defense, allowed it to hit hard with both physical and special moves. A key reason for Dragonite's dominance was its access to the move Wrap. In Generation 1, Wrap was a particularly frustrating move because once it connected, the opponent couldn't attack until the effect wore off or the user switched out. This meant Dragonite could potentially trap an opponent and continuously deal damage, sometimes without them ever getting a chance to retaliate. This strategy, often combined with agility to ensure Dragonite moved first, made it incredibly difficult to counter. Its access to powerful moves like Hyper Beam, a normal type move that didn't require a recharge turn if it knocked out the opponent, and a wide variety of elemental attacks through TMs like Blizzard, Thunderbolt, and Fire Blast, made it a versatile and formidable force. Dragonite's diverse moveset allowed it to be effective against a wide range of opponents, including the Kanto Elite Four and Champion. Dragonite's main weakness is Ice-type attacks, but it could still be a useful member of a player's team. Its strong attack and access to moves like Thunderbolt could be used against Lorelei's Water/Ice-type Pokemon like Dewgong and Lapras against Bruno. Dragonite's dual Dragon/Flying typing gives it an advantage over Fighting-type Pokemon, making it a great choice to handle Bruno's team, especially with its high stats. It also had a type advantage against Bruno's twin Onix, Lance's Dragon-type. Dragonite is also an excellent choice for a player's team when facing the Elite Four's final member, Lance, who specialize in Dragon-type Pokemon. A strong Ice-type move like Blizzard from a different Pokemon is the best way to handle Lance's team, but Dragonite itself could be used against his Gyarados and Aerodactyl, and if it was faster, it could potentially take the KO on his Dragonite. The Champion Blues team is varied depending on the player's starter Pokemon. Dragonite's a versatile move pool, including moves like Thunderbolt for Gyarados, high attack stat for powerful normal-type moves against other Pokemon, meant it was a solid choice for the final battle. Fast forward to Generation 9, and Dragonite is still kicking butt, even outperforming Pokemon released 8 generations after it. The introduction of Terastallization in Scarlet and Violet was a game-changer for Dragonite, its signature ability. Multiscale, which reduces damage when at full HP, combined with Terastallization, makes it an absolute tank that can set up dragon dances and sweep entire teams. This sustained competitive relevance across generations, culminating in a Gen 9 resurgence due to new mechanics, showcases Dragonite's inherent design strength and adaptability. It's a competitive legend that looked like it was going to be forgotten, but with a few small improvements and the perfect conditions, it shattered the chains of destiny. This demonstrates the Dragonite's timeless power and ability to remain a top-tier threat. Dragonite's moveset highlights its incredible versatility. Dragon Dance is essential for boosting its attack and speed, allowing it to become a formidable sweeper. Extreme Speed provides crucial priority, letting it finish off weakened opponents or strike first against faster threats. Coverage moves like Fire Punch and Earthquake ensure it can hit a wide range of types for super effective damage, making it a truly versatile threat. It can be a wall breaker, a setup sweeper, a tank, or even a support Pokemon. Mega Dragonite was officially revealed for Pokemon Legends ZA, not only bringing back Mega Evolution, but also giving the original Pseudo-Legendary a brand new form. Mega Dragonite's design features distinctive Dragonair-like elements, such as a pearl on its tail and the wings on its head that act as feelers. Thanks to Mega Evolution, it can now fly faster and farther than ever before. But here's the kicker, its already kind-hearted nature gets amplified, making it launch powerful attacks with a smile. At the same time, if it senses someone in trouble, it has the kindness to instantly rush to their aid, even if it's in the middle of an intense battle. While specific stats aren't fully confirmed, speculation points to significant boosts in attack and special attack, speed, and defense, potentially making it a formidable mixed attacker. Some fans even hope it keeps its incredible multi-scale ability, or gains a new one like Serene Grace, or a Dragon-type Aerolate. This thing is going to be an absolute menace. Gen 2, Tyranitar, the Kaiju King of Destruction. Tyranitar is the Godzilla of Pokemon. It's heavily inspired by Kaiju, those giant monsters from Japanese cinema. While many immediately link it to Godzilla, some theories suggest its original creation and might be closer to Bemular from Ultraman, a huge inspiration for Pokemon's creator Satoshi Tajiri. Regardless of the specific inspiration, Tyranitar embodies the concept of a Dino Kaiju. It's a walking, roaring, mountain-crumbling force of nature. It's the ultimate destructive force. Tyranitar's typing is Rock/Dark, a unique, brutal combo that just screams destruction. This dual typing gives it a whopping 7 weaknesses: water, grass, fighting, ground, bug, steel, and fairy. However, its sheer power and bulk often make up for these vulnerabilities. Getting a Tyranitar was a journey. Players couldn't just waltz in and grab one. Larvitar, its base form, was incredibly rare, found only on the first floor of Event Silver right at the very end of the game. This made it a true endgame grind, a testament to a player's dedication. The extreme rarity and late-game accessibility of Larvitar/Tyranitar in Generation 2 established it as a hard-earned reward for player persistence. This deepened the sense of accomplishment upon acquiring it, and justified its immense power within the game world. This is where Tyranitar truly changed the game. Its ability, Sandstream, automatically summons a Sandstorm when it enters battle. This isn't just a cool effect. It boosts the special defensive rock types, chips away at non-rock, ground, or steel types, and activates abilities like Sand Rush and Sand Force for its teammates. This ability literally defined entire competitive metas for generations, creating sand teams. Garchomp has won multiple VGC Video Game Championships tournaments, and has consistently high usage in competitive play, being paired with Tyranitar, who would spawn in Sandstream when it enters the battlefield, built around its presence. Tyranitar's Sandstream ability isn't just a personal buff, it's a meta-defining environmental effect that dictates team building and strategy, showcasing its ripple effect on competitive play, and making it a strategic linchpin. Exceptional stats. Tyranitar has a massive base stat total of 600, just like all the other pseudos, with a particularly high attack stat of 134 and a great defense stat of 110. This allowed it to hit incredibly hard with physical moves, and also take a hit from physical attackers. Its solid special defense of 100 also meant it wasn't easily taken down by special attackers. Tyranitar's move pool was incredibly diverse, allowing it to cover a wide range of threats. Moves like Rock Slide and Crunch provided powerful moves for its stab. Crunch, a new move in Generation 2, was particularly useful for its high power and chance to lower the opponent's defense. Tyranitar could learn a variety of TMs that gave it excellent coverage. Earthquake was a must-have for its sheer power and ability to hit steel and electric types. Thunderbolt and Ice Beam were also viable options to cover its weaknesses to water and grass, and to give it a solid special attack option, despite its higher physical attack. The move Curse was especially potent on Tyranitar. In Generation 2, on a non-ghost type, it would boost attack and defense while lowering speed. This strategy turned Tyranitar into a terrifying tank that could set up and then sweep an entire team. Tyranitar's versatility made it a valuable asset throughout the entire Johto and Kanto journey. Tyranitar's rock typing gave it a clear advantage against Price, with Rock Slide being super effective against his team, Chuck's flying type. While fighting moves are super effective against Tyranitar, it could still hold its own with its high stats and use a move like Earthquake to hit back hard. Tyranitar's dark typing made it a perfect counter for Will. All of Will's Pokemon were either psychic or had a psychic type move, and Tyranitar's Crunch would make quick work of them. As a dark type itself, Tyranitar had the tools to handle Karen's team, with powerful coverage moves to hit her different Pokemon. While ice moves were the best way to deal with Lance's dragons, Tyranitar's Rock Slide could do a lot of damage to his Charizard and the Aerodactyl. With its massive defensive stats and ability to use moves like Earthquake, Tyranitar could easily take down Red's Pikachu. Much like Will's team, Tyranitar's dark typing gave it a huge advantage against Red's Espeon. Tyranitar had the bulk and power to go toe-to-toe with these formidable Pokemon. It could use Rock Slide against Charizard and Earthquake against Snorlax. Tyranitar's incredible stats, combined with its diverse move pool and powerful typing, made it a dominant force in Generation 2. It was a Pokemon that could single-handedly turn the tide of a battle, and its presence on a team made facing any of the game's toughest challenges significantly easier. Tyranitar reached its apex in Generation 3, with its incredible base stats, high attack, and insanely good defensive stats for an attacker. It was a quintessential meta staple. It was unrivaled against Psychic types, especially Mewtwo, thanks to its double resistance against Psychic and resistance to Shadow Ball. While Gengar might have had higher DPS in some scenarios, Tyranitar's sheer bulk made it more practical and reliable in battle. It was the undisputed king, plain and simple. As if regular Tyranitar wasn't enough, Mega Tyranitar takes the destruction to another level. Its back literally splits open from the colossal power, and its destructive instincts are the only thing keeping it moving. Mega Evolution makes it even more ferocious, potentially unable to even hear its trainer's orders. Competitively, Mega Tyranitar becomes one of the bulkiest sweepers, capable of surviving hits like Focus Blast from a Life Orb Mewtwo with the right setup. Generation 3, Metagross. There's a widely discussed fan theory that Metagross isn't a natural Pokemon at all, but a man-made creation of the Devon Corporation in the Hoenn region, just like a Mewtwo or Genesect. Because Generation 3 is the only generation with two pseudo-legendaries, in Metagross and Salamance, and Metagross, being a mechanical non-dragon, just sticks out. This theory is based purely on in-game lore, not the anime. The fan theory about Metagross's artificial origin adds a layer of intrigue and uniqueness, setting it apart from other pseudo-legendaries and enhancing its coolness by making it a product of advanced, possibly sinister technology. It's a Pokemon conspiracy, and we are here for it. The Pokédex states Metagross has 4 brains joined by a complex neural network, making it smarter than a supercomputer. This isn't just brute force, it's calculated, cold, hard intelligence. It's thinking 10 steps ahead, predicting every move. The former Hoenn champion, Steven Stone, is famously associated with Metagross. In Generation 3, players couldn't even catch a Beldum, Metagross's base form. In the wild, Steven gifts it to them. This strong connection, combined with Steven's father being the president of the tech-focused Devon Corporation, heavily supports the man-made theory. It's the champion's choice for a reason, because it's a weapon. As mentioned in its debut generation, players couldn't just find a Metagross in the wild. It was an exclusive gift from Steven Stone, making it a true post-game reward. This made it feel incredibly special and earned. Players had to beat the game, then get a gift and evolve it. Even when it was available in the wild in later games, like Unova and Alola, often in space-related areas. Beldum had a notoriously low catch rate, sometimes as low as a legendary Pokemon. The struggle was real for Beldum. Players would throw Ultra Ball after Ultra Ball, praying it wouldn't break out. This extreme rarity and challenging acquisition method further cemented Metagross's status as a top-tier, hard-to-get powerhouse. Metagross has been a consistent top-tier competitive Pokemon since Generation 3. Its fantastic typing, incredible stats, and vast move pool allow it to fit on almost any team and perform well. It's been a consistent truth in competitive singles. This thing is a meta staple year after year, proving its enduring viability. Its unique Steel/Psychic typing offers a blend of defensive prowess and offensive coverage. While Steel lost some resistances in later generations, Metagross's natural bulk and diverse move pool, including Meteor Mash, Earthquake, Thunder Punch, and Bullet Punch, still make it a formidable force. It's a tank that hits like a truck, adapting to changes in the competitive landscape. The ultimate fusion. Mega Metagross is formed by one Metagross, one Metank, and 2 Beldum linking up, creating an even more powerful floating multi-limbed machine. It gains the Tough Claws ability, which boosts the power of its contact moves. Its multiple brains process information simultaneously, enabling it to calmly assess the tides of a battle and defeat its opponent with accuracy. This increased intelligence makes Mega Metagross a ruthless combatant that will clutch at victory by absolutely any means, no matter how horrifyingly cruel. It's an absolute monster, with boosted attack, defense, special defense, and speed. This thing will win, no matter what.
Oh man, I can't wait to beat the Elite Four for the 9th time. Hold on, let me just run from this. Wait, what the f?
So you have chosen death.
Buon appetito, bitch.
Today we'll analyze Power, Utter Dominance, the apex of Dragon Pokemon that is Salamance. This is a definitive statement on a Pokemon that has shaped competitive play and captured the hearts of millions ever since 2002. Let's begin with the design. The sleek, streamlined Azure body, the crimson-lined wings. They are not just for flight, they are symbols of its achieved ambition. It's aerodynamics that define its silhouette and its purpose. Salamance's design screams efficiency, speed, and undeniable power. A masterclass in conveying power through aesthetics. Game Freak crafted a creature that immediately communicates its role as a top-tier threat. This precision in design is a key reason for its popularity and why people love it so much. Its Pokédex entry of the origin of Bagon, a small, earthbound Pokemon driven by a singular, consuming desire to fly. That raw, unyielding ambition. Bagon would repeatedly bash its head against rocks, not in frustration, but in an almost primal attempt to stimulate the growth of wings. Bro was the first creature to Bone Smash. This isn't just lore, it's a metaphor for aspiration, for a will so strong it literally reshapes its cellular structure. This relentless pursuit transfers in its evolution. Shelgon, a period of intense internal development, encased and protected in the calm before the storm, and then, finally at level 50, it finally happens. Salamance. The shell breaks, the wings unravel, and its dream comes true. In a burst of overwhelming power, this isn't just an evolution. Wait, what the f? It was supposed to be purple and orange? It is one of the best pseudo-legendaries, a creature whose power is derived from an unbreakable spirit. Its nature is perfect, a powerful dragon under the celestial Rayquaza's wing. If you want to know what I'm talking about, then go watch this video. Intimidate and Moxy. Salamance possesses two of the most OP abilities in the entire Pokemon franchise, with the most impact in a Pokemon battle. Intimidate, the most broken ability. It is the single best tactical move in a battle. Upon entering the battle, Salamance automatically lowers the attack stat of all opposing Pokemon by 1 stage. This single action fundamentally alters the battle in Salamance's favor. Imagine a high-threat physical attacker, Urshifu Rapid Strike, suddenly hitting for 2/3 of its intended damage. This immediate reduction in offensive pressure provides amazing utility. It enables safer switches for your more fragile Pokemon. It creates opportunities for your own setup and forces opponents to reconsider their offensive strategy, often compelling them to switch out, sacrificing momentum. In double battles, its effect is doubled, impacting both opposing Pokemon, potentially dismantling well-structured offensive plans before they even begin. Intimidate is universally recognized for its unmatched defensive utility and its ability to dictate the pace of battle. It's why many teams desire it and why Salamance wields it so effectively to control the early turns of engagement. People consider Intimidate to be the best ability in all of Pokemon. This is why Incineroar, after receiving it, became the best Pokemon competitively. Wait until they add a new ability in Generation 10 that combines both Intimidate and Moxy. Speaking of Moxy, this ability is the embodiment of offensive snowballing, and when Salamance knocks out an opposing Pokemon, its attack stat immediately increases by 1 stage. This isn't just an offensive boost, it's a self-sustaining engine of destruction. Picture a scenario: your Salamance, after Dragon Dance, takes down a weakened foe. The Moxy boost activates. This snowballing power makes the next KO even easier, creating a terrifying chain reaction that can tear through entire teams. Moxy turns Salamance, who has the highest attack stats, joint with Metagross as a pseudo-legendary Pokemon. And Moxy turns Salamance from a strong attacker into an unstoppable game-ending sweeper. It forces opponents into desperate reactive plays. These two abilities, Intimidate for control and Moxy for decisive offense, exemplify Salamance's profound strategic depth. They are, without exaggeration, among the very best abilities ever designed in Pokemon, although players prefer to run Intimidate. Unlike other Pokemon where only one of their abilities abilities are useful. This is the complete opposite for Salamence. Salamance's competitive history is not short-lived. It is legendary. From its introduction in Generation 3, it immediately established itself as the top-tier threat, consistently performing at the highest levels. Its early usage was defined by the Dragon Dance set. By boosting both its attack and speed, Salamence transformed into a terrifying setup sweeper. This dual boost allowed it to outspeed and overpower a vast majority of the metagame. At that time, considering the versatility of its offensive moveset, Flamethrower provided crucial coverage against Steel-type Pokemon that would otherwise wall its Dragon-type attacks. In double battles, Draco Meteor was its signature. This high base power Dragon-type attack could obliterate targets, and critically, in double battles, it could hit both opponents, securing critical KOs even with its special attack drop. These precise offensive tools, combined with the power of Dragon Dance, made regular Salamence a flexible and consistently dangerous threat. Imagine if Salamence had an ability that could let it use a move and switch out like Volt Switch. Its impact extended to the biggest stages. In the 2014 Pokémon World Championships, against the fiercest competition globally, Salamence secured an impressive second-place finish. This was its standard form, showcasing that even without a Mega Evolution, its inherent power and strategic utility were enough to compete at the absolute pinnacle. This was not a fluke. It was a testament to its enduring viability. Common-held items like Life Orb maximized its offensive output, Choice Scarf provided immediate speed control, and even Assault Vest could be used for surprising special bulk, highlighting its adaptable nature. Salamence was always a Pokemon that deserved respect and careful planning from opponents. In Generation 3, Salamence was undeniably overpowered. Once you put in the significant effort to level it up to 50, its exceptional base stats paired with its sky-high attack and impressive speed allowed it to outspeed and decimate most in-game opponents. Its diverse move pool, including powerful Stab, Dragon attacks like Dragon Claw and Fly, for its flying-type coverage, combined with crucial coverage options like Flamethrower or Earthquake, meaning it could tear through gyms, rival battles, and the Elite Four with minimal resistance. Intimidate provided invaluable utility, weakening physical threats, while its raw offensive power meant it often secured multiple KOs per battle, becoming the ultimate sweeper. Mega Salamence, and the Aeolate. Then, in Generation 6, the game changed forever with the introduction of Mega Evolution, and for Salamence, this was not just an upgrade, it was an ascension to absolute dominance. Mega Salamence was not merely powerful, it was, for a period, the undisputed apex predator of the competitive scene. Its body becomes a sleek, menacing, crescent-winged weapon. Those iconic wings merge into a single one, looking like a crescent moon, resembling a literal jet. This transformation is a visual representation of its ultimate mastery of the skies, an embodiment of pure, unadulterated speed and overwhelming power. It's a design that radiates menace, efficiency, and a predatory intent. Its ability, Aeolate. This was not just an ability, it changed how Salamence was played. Aeolate transforms all of Salamence's normal-type moves into flying-type moves and boosts their power by a significant 20%. This fundamentally changed its offensive output. The most used move was Hyper Voice. This move, already a sound-based attack that bypassed Protect and hit both opponents in double battles, became a stab due to its flying type with a built-in power increase. A high base power move, hitting both opponents, ignoring common defensive maneuvers, amplified by both Stab and Aeolate. It was, quite simply, an annihilation button. Hyper Voice Mega Salamence was the menace, effortlessly blasting through opposing teams, often without even needing setup. Its sheer offensive presence was overwhelming. The results on the world stage speak for themselves. Mega Salamence didn't just compete, it dominated. It won the Pokémon World Championships in both 2018 and 2019. 2 consecutive years of undeniable global supremacy. This is a testament to an almost perfectly engineered combination of design, ability, and raw power. Few, if any, Pokemon in competitive history have achieved such consistent, high-level, undisputed reign for such long periods of time. Paradox forms, and future dominance. Just when you think that surely Salamence, being the OP that it is, after receiving a Mega Evolution, would finally slow down after it was removed. But no! Game Freak introduced Roaring Moon, the Paradox Pokemon that's been banned multiple times in competitive Pokemon already. As new generations emerge and new forms are discovered, the essence of Salamence, the ultimate aerial menace, continues to evolve and assert its presence. We now have its incredible Paradox form, showcasing yet another formidable iteration of its unyielding power. Salamence might as well be the new Charizard, Pokemon's new golden boy. This new form carries the torch of Salamence's inherent dominance. They demonstrate that its fundamental power, its intrinsic design as a formidable flying dragon, transcends specific eras and mechanics, ensures that even in new contexts, a creature inspired by or linked to Salamence will always be a significant force. The very concept of its power persists, proving that the menace of Salamence is not confined to a single generation, but is an enduring characteristic of the Pokemon universe. universe. It continues to be recognized and lauded for its inherent power, influencing new design choices and cementing its status as a consistently favored Pokemon by Game Freak. Salamance is not just a pseudo-legendary, it is the definitive pseudo-legendary. It is the ultimate aerial menace, the undisputed lord of the skies, and a consistently dominant force throughout Pokemon history. It is revered by its creators, feared by its opponents, and absolutely unequivocally universally loved by everyone. Anyways, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Generation 4, Garchomp. Garchomp's design is a masterclass in combining terrifying concepts. It's a large bipedal dragon-like Pokemon with a shark-like head and fins. It draws inspiration from hammerhead sharks, elements of jet aircraft, and classic dragons from mythology. The Pokédex even states it folds its body and extends its wings to look like a jet plane, flying at sonic or max speed. It's a land shark that can fly faster than a fighter jet. Garchomp's dragon/ground typing is devastating, hitting 5 types for super effective damage. It's a truly offensive force, capable of flying through the sky at Mach speed and even battling Salamance midair. This thing just hits everything hard, making it an indispensable asset for any team. Unlike some other pseudo-legendaries that make players wait until the late 50s or 60s, Garchomp reaches its final form at level 48. This makes it an absolute MVP for an in-game playthrough, coming online sooner and allowing players to dominate to the mid to late game. Garchomp's line is also generally easier to access in its base games compared to some other pseudo-legendaries, making it a fantastic and reliable team member that doesn't require excessive grinding or post-game unlocking. Garchomp is a competitive legend. Very few non-legendary Pokemon can claim to have been overused in every generation since their release. It's been game-defining. This consistent presence in the highest tiers of play, despite numerous meta shifts, highlights its inherently balanced yet powerful stat distribution and typing. This allows it to remain a timeless competitive staple that transcends individual game mechanics. Garchomp has won multiple VGC video game championships tournaments, and has consistently high usage in competitive play, being paired with Tyranitar, who would spawn in Sandstream when it enters the battlefield. It's a staple for a reason, often used to team with or take out threats like Tapu Koko. Now here's where it gets spicy. Mega Garchomp gets massive stat boosts. 40 points in attack, 20 in defense, 40 in special attack, and 10 in special defense, but at the cost of 10 points in its speed stat. The seemingly small drop, from 102 to 92 speed, is often considered a downgrade by competitive players. The reason for this perception is the critical importance of speed tiers in competitive Pokemon. The 102 speed allowed regular Garchomp to outspeed crucial threats like Salamance, Mega Charizard XY, and Volcarona. Losing that speed makes it vulnerable to Pokemon it could previously OHKO. This illustrates how seemingly minor stat changes can drastically alter a Pokemon's viability and role, creating a nuanced understanding of competitive balance. However, Mega Garchomp isn't bad. It simply shifts its role. It becomes a ruthless wall breaker, hitting incredibly hard with its boosted attack and the Sand Force ability, which boosts rock, ground, and steel moves in a sandstorm. It can even run a special attacking set with Draco Meteor and Fire Blast to melt common checks. It's just a different beast, requiring a different strategy. Cynthia. Specifically how Cynthia and her Garchomp didn't just beat us in battle, they traumatized an entire generation of players. It wasn't just a tough fight, it was an emotional roller coaster, a trial by fire that left us questioning everything we thought we knew about being the Pokemon champion. And by the time Garchomp came out, I wasn't battling, I was just trying to survive. My poor Infernape stood no chance against the monstrous Garchomp's Earthquake. It was a brutal, humbling experience that taught me Pokemon battles were far more complex than just hitting super effective. The monstrous ace, Garchomp the Tyrant. Everyone wanted a glazing video on Garchomp, so here it is. Alright, let's talk about the main event and the reason we're all here. The Pokemon that still haunts our dreams, Garchomp. This isn't just any dragon/ground type. This is a pseudo-legendary with stats that put most actual legendaries to shame. We're talking a base stat total of 600. We're talking 108 horsepower, a monstrous 130 attack, a solid 95 defense, and a blazing 102 speed. This thing hits like a truck, moves like a jet plane, and can take a hit too. It's built for pure destruction. Its high attack and speed means it can often outspeed your Pokemon and deliver devastating blows before you even get a chance to react. The high HP and decent defenses allow it to survive hits that would knock out lesser Pokemon. This combination of offensive and defensive power is why it felt like an unstoppable force. In Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Garchomp was already a nightmare with Stab Earthquake, a devastating ground-type move that hits everything on the ground, and Dragon Rush, a powerful dragon-type move that could even make you flinch. Plus, it knew Giga Impact, an extremely powerful and normal-type move that was the physical variant of Hyper Beam. While it needed a turn to recharge, often that one hit was all it needed to wipe out one of your Pokémon. But then came Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and Game Freak said, you know what? Let's make it worse. In BDSP, Cynthia's Garchomp got a new trick, Swords Dance. This move raises Garchomp's attack stat by 2 stages in a single turn. Imagine a Pokemon that already hits like a train, now hitting like 2 f***ing trains after just one turn. After one Swords Dance, it could one-shot almost anything you threw at it regardless of type effectiveness. The trauma was reawakened, amplified for a new generation of players. And for those of us replaying, it was a cruel reminder of the past, now made even more challenging. This single edition elevated an already infamous opponent to legendary status, making the remakes potentially even harder in this specific encounter. Now you might be thinking, Garchomp is 4 times weak to ice, I'll just bring an ice type and one-shot it. And you'd be right, mostly. But Cynthia, being the strategic genius she is, gave her Garchomp a little secret weapon in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the Yacha Berry. This berry halves the damage to hit a super effective ice-type attack once, so your perfectly planned Ice Beam or Ice Shard might not be the instant KO you hoped for, leaving Garchomp alive to retaliate with a boosted Earthquake or a Dragon Claw. This meant that your most obvious counter strategy, the one you probably spent hours training for, was partially negated. You expected a clean one-hit knockout, but instead, Garchomp survived with enough health to unleash a devastating counterattack, often wiping out your Ice-type Pokemon. This unexpected resilience added another layer of frustration and contributed to the feeling that Cynthia was always one step ahead. We haven't even started talking about Garchomp's ability. In Generation 4, Garchomp's only ability was Sand Veil, which boosts its evasion by 25% in a sandstorm. Sounds terrifying, right? Evasion boosts on a monster like Garchomp? Imagine trying to hit a Pokemon that's already fast and strong, and now it's dodging your attacks left and right. But here's the kicker. Cynthia's team never had a Pokemon that could set up a sandstorm. Not in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, or even Gen 5. So all those times you swore Garchomp dodged your attacks because of Sand Veil, it was all in your head. The trauma was so real we imagined it was even more unfair than it actually was. So essentially Garchomp without any ability was plowing our teams. This common misconception among players truly highlights the psychological impact of the battle. We were so overwhelmed by Garchomp's raw power and speed that our brains filled in the blanks, perceiving it as an even greater threat than its mechanics actually allowed. It's a testament to how deeply this battle affected us. If these Garchomp nightmares are hitting too close to home, let me know your most traumatic Cynthia story in the comments below. Did you manage to one-shot Garchomp, or did it take you a dozen tries and a small army of full restores? Let me know your pain in the comments so that we can all feel at home. Facing Cynthia and Garchomp felt impossible, but eventually we all found ways to overcome the challenge. And it wasn't easy. The first most painful truth, you probably went in underleveled. Cynthia's Garchomp sits at a whopping level 66 in the first battle, while the Elite Four's starting Pokemon are often in the late 40s. That's a huge jump. Many of us, myself included, had to go back to the drawing board, hit the Grand Underground, and grind for hours to get our teams into the high 50s or low 60s. It wasn't fun, but it was absolutely necessary. It was about ensuring your Pokemon could withstand Garchomp's attacks and deal enough damage to overcome its defenses, and the Yachi Berry. This fundamental shift in strategy, from simply progressing through the story to dedicated grinding, highlighted the sheer magnitude of the challenge. In Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the introduction of the Fairy type was a game changer. Fairy moves are super effective against Garchomp, and even better, Dragon-type moves have no effect on Fairy types. Togekiss, with its dazzling Gleam or Moonblast, became an absolute unit, resisting Garchomp's attacks while dishing out massive damage. Gen 5 and Hydreigon. Hydreigon and its pre-evolutions were originally designed as cyborg dragons, with aspects of tanks. Imagine a Hydreigon with a literal cannon for a head, rolling into battle. Thankfully, they scrapped that initial concept and redesigned it. This scrapped cyborg tank origin reveals a fascinating glimpse into Game Freak's early design iterations and the evolution of a Pokemon's concept, adding a layer of what-if that appeals to lore enthusiasts and highlights the creative journey behind these creatures. Its current absolutely menacing design is based on multiple-headed mythical creatures. It's primarily inspired by Lamata no Orochi, an 8-headed serpent from Japanese mythology. It also incorporates elements of the Hydra from Greek mythology and the Zmei Gorynek from Slavic folklore. tank tread-like markings on its body are a remnant of that original cyborg design. It's even been linked to King Ghidorah from Godzilla. This thing is a pure, multi-headed nightmare, and it looks the part. Hydreigon's Dark/Dragon typing is pure menace, giving it powerful stab options. Its Pokédex entries describe it as brutal, devouring everything it comes across, and thinking only of destruction. It's literally a monster, embodying chaos and devastation. Hydreigon is infamous for its evolution levels. Dano evolves into Zweilous at level 50, and Zweilous evolves into Hydreigon at a staggering level 64. This is one of the highest evolution levels for any non-legendary Pokemon period. Players had to commit to this one, grinding for what felt like an eternity, but the reward was a truly brutal beast. Hydreigon's exceptionally high evolution level creates a significant player investment and a prolonged struggle that makes its eventual power feel incredibly rewarding, fulfilling the necessary to beat the game and coolest criteria through sheer dedication. The sheer dedication required makes it feel like an ultimate achievement. In a typical playthrough of Pokemon Black-White, Black 2, or White 2, Hydreigon is a fantastic Pokemon, but it requires a lot of patience. This is the biggest hurdle. Dano, its first form, doesn't evolve into Zweilous until level 50. Zweilous then doesn't evolve into the final form, Hydreigon, until an astonishing level 64. This is the highest evolution level of any Pokemon in the series. In Pokemon Black and White, the first time you can even catch a Dano is on Victory Road, meaning you'll be using it as a Zweilous for the champion battle in Postgame. Despite the grind, the payoff is immense. Once you finally get Hydreigon, it is a dominant force. Its incredible special attack stat, 125, and diverse move pool allow it to sweep through many of the toughest trainers in the game, including the Unova Elite Four and Champion. A fully evolved Hydreigon can learn a variety of powerful moves. Its Dark/Dragon typing gives it stab on moves like Dark Pulse and Dragon Pulse, and it can learn fantastic coverage moves from TMs like Flamethrower, Earth Power, and Surf. This incredible versatility allows it to hit almost any opponent for at least neutral damage. Hydreigon has consistently been a strong competitive Pokemon since its introduction, thanks to its unique combination of stats, typing, and moves. The Dark/Dragon typing is a strong offensive and defensive combination, giving it an immunity to psychic moves and a resistance to many common types. Its high special attack is its primary selling point, and it has a decent speed stat of 98, which is just shy of the very competitive 100 speed tier, but still fast enough to outspeed many threats. Competitively, Hydreigon's move pool is what makes it so viable. Draco Meteor is its most powerful Dragon-type attack, though it comes with a special attack drop. Dark Pulse is a reliable secondary stab. It has access to incredible coverage moves like Fire Blast and Focus Blast to hit Steel and Fairy types, which are a major threat to it. U-turn is a key move for pivoting, allowing Hydreigon to deal damage and then switch out to a more favorable matchup. It can also run support sets with moves like Taunt and Roost. Hydreigon is versatile enough to be used in a variety of roles. This set uses the item Choice Scarf to boost its speed, making it a powerful revenge killer that can outspeed in an oh-so many threats. This set uses Choice Specs to boost its already high special attack, turning its attacks into devastating nukes. This set offers more flexibility by allowing it to switch between moves while boosting its damage, at the cost of a small amount of HP each turn. While the introduction of Fairy-type Pokemon in Generation 6 gave Hydreigon a crippling 4 times weakness, it has still maintained its competitive viability by adapting its movesets and roles. Its raw power, wide coverage, and unique typing make it a consistent threat on any team. Draco Meteor and Dark Pulse. It's a beast, especially as a Dark-type attacker, often sporting DPS higher than Tyranitar in some formats. Then Generation 6 happened and the Fairy type arrived, giving Hydreigon a rude awakening. Fairies are super effective against both Dragon and Dark, giving Hydreigon a crippling 4 times weakness to Fairy. This knocked it down a lot, but it still finds its place, especially in formats where Fairy types are less prevalent or it can leverage its other strengths. It's a testament to its raw power that even with such a glaring weakness, it remains competitively viable. Gen 6. Goodra. Goodra's unique lore. Goodra is often described as an amazingly friendly Pokemon that displays affection by hugging its trainers, leaving them covered in sticky, cloth-staining slime. Interestingly, when Sliggoo evolves into Goodra, it regains its sight, a detail scientists don't yet understand. It's a dragon that just wants a hug, even if it leaves you a sticky mess. Goodra is a pure dragon type, but its Hisuian form, introduced later, is Steel/Dragon, adding a fascinating twist to its defensive capabilities. Despite evolving from the meek Gumi, Goodra are among the strongest dragon types in existence. They use their stretchy horns to launch devastating punches, 100 times greater than that of a pro boxer. When enraged, they rampage as uncontrollably as Dragonite. Don't let the gooey exterior fool anyone. This thing can throw down. Finding Gumi in Generation 6 was a task in itself. Primarily found in swampy areas of Route 14 with only a 20% encounter rate. Sliggoo could be found in yellow flowers on Route 19, also with a 20% chance. Players had to really hunt for this little blob. To evolve Sliggoo in a good draw, it needs to reach level 50 while it's raining in the game. There are no permanently rainy areas, so players had to either get lucky with random weather or strategically use moves like Rain Dance. This was a unique, frustrating, but ultimately rewarding challenge that made getting a Goodra feel truly special. Goodra's unique rain-based evolution requirement created a memorable, often frustrating player experience that heightened the emotional connection to the Pokémon and reinforced its earned status through a specific environmental challenge, the agony of waiting for that pixelated rain. Goodra's standout competitive feature is its incredibly high special defense stat. It's a special attacker's nightmare, able to tank hits like nobody's business. It just shrugs off those special attacks. While Goodra might have had a mostly quiet competitive career, it has found its niches. Its bulk and abilities like Sap Sipper, immunity to grass, moves and attack boost, and Gooey lowers opponents' speed on contact, make it a solid defensive presence. It's gotten better with reduced Pokédexes in recent generations, making it more relevant. It might not be flashy, but it gets the job done as a reliable tank, a true unsung hero. Gen 7, Kommo-o, Haka-inspired power, Kommo-o's cultural roots. Kommo-o's entire line is deeply inspired by Hawaiian culture, fitting for the Alola region. Its middle evolution, Hakamo-o, even has Haka in its name, referencing the powerful ceremonial war dance of the Maori people, adopted by many Pacific Island cultures. Kommo-o itself is said to clang its scales in a war dance to unnerve opponents. Its design, with glittering scales and a regal appearance, has been linked to Hawaiian royalty, with its tail resembling a kahili, royal standard. Kommo-o's deep cultural inspiration from Hawaiian/Maori warrior tradition, Haka royalty, elevates its coolness beyond mere design, imbuing it with a sense of honor, power, and cultural significance that makes it truly stand out. It's a true warrior ready to throw down. Kommo-o's dragon fighting typing is a unique and aggressive combination that gives it powerful stab option, hitting a wide range of types for super effective damage. It battles valiantly with its steel-scaled fists and specializes in uppercuts. It's a brawler with style. SOS Battle Scarcity, Kommo-o's elusive nature. In Sun and Moon, finding Kommo-o's line, Jangmo-o, Hakmo-o, was a challenge. They were found in vast Pony Canyon, but often only through SOS battles where a wild Pokemon calls for allies, and sometimes a rare one shows up. This made it feel even more elusive and special to finally get one. Players had to really grind those SOS chains to obtain this powerful Pokemon. Clangorous Soul Sweeper Kommo-o's competitive impact. Kommo-o has a signature Z move, Clangorous Soul Blaze, which when used with its unique move, Clangorous Soul, gives it a massive +1 boost to all its stats, attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed, at the cost of some HP. This makes it an incredibly dangerous setup sweeper capable of turning the tide of battle in an instant. It's a stat boosting machine that can quickly overwhelm opponents. Kommo-o is highly versatile, capable of running both physical and special attacking sets. Moves like Drain Punch for recovery, Close Combat, Earthquake, Fire Punch, and Poison Jab to hit those pesky fairies. Give it excellent coverage. Its abilities: Overcoat, immunity to weather effects, and Soundproof, immunity to sound-based moves like Roar. Also add to its competitive viability. Gen 8's Dragon Dragapult. Dragon Dragapult's innovative design. Dragapult's design is pure genius. It's a dragon/ghost type that looks like a stealth bomber or fighter jet, with a head resembling a hammerhead shark. Its tail is a nod to the ancient amphibian Diplodocus, and it even has elements of crocodiles. But the absolute coolest part? It carries its pre-evolution's Dreepy in holes on its horns, and launches them like supersonic missiles or torpedoes. This unique concept of launching its babies as missiles is a brilliant blend of humor, drama, and combat utility, making it incredibly memorable, and reinforcing its cool and silly appeal that resonates deeply with players. It's a ghost plane that yeets its babies. What's not to love? It's simultaneously badass and hilarious. Dragapult's dragon/ghost typing is incredibly offensive, giving it few resistances and hitting hard. It's fast, offensive, and spooky, a perfect combination for a modern pseudo-legendary. Galar's Ghostly Gem, rarity and speed. Like Hydreigon, Dragapult requires a significant grind, evolving from Dracloak at level 60. This makes it a late game powerhouse that players truly invest in. Putting in the work for the Speed Demon is well worth the effort. Dragapult boasts an incredible base 142 speed stat, making it one of the fastest Pokemon in the entire game. It just hits opponents before they even know what happened. Blink and they'll miss it. Speed Demon dominance. Dragapult's meta. Rain Dragapult is a competitive beast. Its blazing speed combined with strong attack and special attack stats makes it one of the best ghost and or dragon types in terms of offensive power. Once it gains momentum, very little can stop it. It's a true sweep machine that can dismantle opposing teams. Dragapult can run a wide array of devastating sets. It can be a physical attacker with Dragon Dance and its signature move Dragon Darts, which hits twice, breaking substitutes and focus sashes. Or it can be a special attacker with choice specs, firing off powerful Draco Meteors and Shadow Balls. It also makes a fantastic pivot with U-turn. It can even use Will-O-Wisp to cripple physical attackers and then hit them with a boosted Hex. This incredible versatility makes it a nightmare to predict and a constant threat in both singles and VGC. It can do it all, and it does it fast. Dragapult was a significant force in the competitive Pokemon landscape during the time of Pokemon Sword and Shield, largely due to its high speed, versatile move pool, and the Dynamax mechanic. Its competitive history and usage statistics tell a different story. High speed and Dynamax. With a base speed of 142, Dragapult was one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. When it Dynamaxed, its speed remained high, and it could use max moves to either set up a sweep or provide valuable support. Max Airstream was particularly devastating, boosting Dragapult's speed and the speed of its partner in double battles. Dragapult's base stats and move pool allowed it to be played in multiple ways, making it hard for opponents to predict its role on a team. The max move advantage. The max move mechanic itself gave Dragapult a massive advantage. Dynamaxing bypasses common competitive tactics. For example, a Dynamax Pokemon cannot be affected by flinching or certain stat-reducing abilities like Intimidate, due to its clear body ability. Max moves also ignore the effects of Protect, although they deal reduced damage. Max Airstream, as mentioned, provided a speed boost, but other max moves like Max Knuckle from fighting-type moves could raise its attack, and Max Phantasm from ghost-type moves lowered the opponent's defense. This made it a snowballing threat that could quickly take over a battle. While the term overpowered is subjective in the competitive scene, Dragapult's usage and success in VGC throughout the Sword and Shield era demonstrated its power. It was a consistent top-tier threat that many teams had to specifically plan for. The combination of its raw speed, offensive prowess, and the strategic advantages granted by Dynamax made it a meta-defining Pokemon. Gen 9, Baxcalibur. Baxcalibur is the newest Pseudo-Legendary, and it's an absolute unit. It's a Dragon Ice type that looks strikingly like Godzilla. Its large dorsal fins absorb heat, lowering the ambient temperature, and its face and fin tips are coated in razor-sharp ice. It can blast cryogenic air cold enough to instantly freeze molten lava. In combat, it launches itself backward, impaling opponents with its sharp fins. This thing is a walking, ice-breathing kaiju nightmare, and it's awesome. It's like a frozen Godzilla. Baxcalibur's Dragon. Ice typing is a powerful offensive combination, but it comes with a glaring 4 times weakness to fighting and steel. This keeps trainers on their toes, but its raw power makes it worth the risk. Players have to play smart, but the payoff is huge. Glaciado Mountain Secret, Rarity and Evolution. Grind finding Frigibax Baxcalibur's base form is a quest in itself. It's found in a small hidden cave entrance on Glaciado Mountain in Paldea. Players literally have to travel across half the region and make a careful drop to find its habitat. It's not just handed to them. Frigibax evolves into Artibax at level 35, and then Artibax evolves into Baxcalibur at level 54. This is another pseudo-legendary that demands a significant level investment, making it a true late-game reward. The grind is real, but the monster at the end is worth it. Glaive Rush Powerhouse. Baxcalibur's competitive debut. Baxcalibur has the unique ability Thermal Exchange, which boosts its attack stat if it's hit by a fire-type move. This can turn a weakness into a setup opportunity. Its signature move, Glaive Rush, is a Dragon-type physical attack with 120 power. It hits like a truck, but the drawback is that the user takes double damage from attacks on the next turn. It's a high-risk, high-reward move that perfectly fits its aggressive kaiju persona. Go big or go home. To mitigate its glaring weaknesses, competitive players often use Ground Terra type with Baxcalibur. This removes its Ice and Dragon weaknesses, gives stab to Earthquake, and makes it incredibly bulky, able to switch into threats like Iron Bundle. It's a phenomenal wall breaker with moves like Icicle Spear, Ice Shard, and Earthquake. It's a strategic masterpiece in the making, proving its worth in the competitive landscape, from the gentle giant Dragonite to the frosty fury of Baxcalibur. And what's the takeaway? It's simple. Pseudo-Legendary Pokemon are not just strong. They are the pinnacle of Pokemon design, the ultimate power fantasy, and the reason we keep coming back to these games year after year. They demand your dedication, reward your grind, and then absolutely dominate everything in their path. They are without a doubt the coolest, most necessary, and everyone's favorite Pokemon. Period. End of discussion. Don't even try to argue with me. From carrying your team through the Elite Four when you were a kid, to defining entire competitive metas with their unique abilities and raw power, these beasts are the heart and soul of every region. They're the ones you remember, the ones you brag about, the ones that save your bacon when everything else falls apart. They're the reason your playthrough feels epic, and your competitive battles feel like a true Clash of Titans. They are the legends you can actually catch and train. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and tell me in the comments, which pseudo-legendary is your ride or die, and why are they the GOAT? Giratina, the renegade Pokemon, unveiling the devil of the Pokemon world. Arceus being the primordial creator. Often revered as the original one, this entity is described as having breathed alone before the universe came, emerging from a single egg of light within an absolute void to shape all of existence. This depiction firmly establishes Arceus as the definitive god figure within the Pokemon universe, a being of ultimate power and genesis. From this singular, omnipotent creator, the narrative naturally extends to the creation of other fundamental forces. Arceus brought forth Dialga, the master of time, and Palkia, the lord of space, to aid in the universe's formation. Alongside them, Giratina was also conceived, destined to embody antimatter. However, unlike its ride or dies, Giratina quickly demonstrated a unique and problematic nature within this divine trio, setting the stage for its distinct cosmic role in the whole of the Pokemon universe. A fan theory in popular online communities positions Giratina as the devil or Satan counterpart to Arceus. The explicit labeling of Arceus as the original one is more than just a description. It is a deliberate invocation of foundational mythological archetypes, particularly the singular, omnipotent creator deity found in many religions. By establishing this god figure, the narrative implicitly creates a conceptual space for its antithesis. The idea of Giratina as the devil is therefore a natural extension of the archetypal framework laid down by freaking Masuda, the creator of Pokemon itself. This suggests that the Pokemon universe is built upon deep, universal mythological structures that resonate with common human narratives of creation and opposition. Chapter 1. Arceus' creation and Giratina's banishment. Arceus' role as the universe's forefather is central to the Sinnoh creation myth. It emerged from a single egg of light, from an absolute void, possessing near unlimited power to shape the cosmos. To facilitate this grand design, Arceus created three powerful entities to embody fundamental forces: Dialga, who governs time, Palkia, who controls space, and Giratina, who represents antimatter. This establishes Giratina as a distinct component of the cosmic fabric designed by Arceus. Arceus' two sides were different. One side represented light and the other represented dark. It is said that he puts his light into Dialga and his darkness into Palkia, but I think this is where the story altered. I theorize that Giratina was the darkness of Arceus, and that Dialga and Palkia both represent the light of Arceus. To back this theory, which had a lot of plot holes with the original tale, but after the release of Pokemon Legends Arceus, Giratina would finally, after almost 2 decades, get a new Pokédex entry, which says, "There is one Hisuian verse that tells of a powerful light creating a deep shadow." I imagine that this deep shadow is Giratina. So this new Pokédex entry pretty much confirms that Giratina is in fact the darkness within Arceus. Now let's look at its origin form Pokédex entry. Giratina loses its legs, changing into this form. I believe this Pokemon must hail from a world where the heavens and the earth are as one. This is insane. In the original tale from the leak, it is confirmed that Dialga is to represent the Pokemon side of existence, and Palkia represents the human being's existence. Dialga is standing on 4 legs, and Palkia is standing on 2 legs. Now if we look at origin form Giratina, just like the new Pokédex entry that got added into Legends Arceus, which says that Giratina loses its legs upon changing forms, meaning it represents neither Pokemon nor human, but is something entirely different. It is Arceus' shadow itself, contrast to its irregular form, which has 6 legs. This would contrast the combined legs from Dialga's 4 legs and Palkia's 2 legs, alluding to the fact that it represents both human and Pokemon just like Arceus. Giratina is often compared to Arceus, rather than Dialga and Palkia. It is also confirmed that the Arceus that we see in-game is just an avatar. So I think that Giratina is more relative to Arceus' avatar form. And since Giratina is its shadow, it can't just remove his malice entirely, so it would banish him to his own realm or existence, the Distortion World. Even in canon shoots, we see Dialga and Palkia usually being up against Giratina. It is worth noting that even Dialga and Palkia required the assistance of the Lake Trio to help control and calm them, hinting at the immense and potentially volatile nature of these primordial forces. After their creation, Dialga and Palkia left the universe to observe from afar in their own domains, implying a harmonious, ordered existence in their respective realms of time and space. However, Giratina's journey immediately diverged. During the very process of creation, Giratina exhibited violence and anger, traits deemed unfitting for Arceus' universe. This pivotal moment set Giratina apart from its brethren and led to severe consequences. Chapter 2. The Distortion World. The Distortion World serves as Giratina's true home, an alternate dimension or reverse world that exists on the reverse side of ours. This realm is characterized by its bizarre and unsettling physics, where gravity and time are completely warped. Time is said to not flow, and spatial relations are shown to be irregular, allowing individuals to walk on walls and even surf on waterfalls without any apparent effort. This creates a profound sense of an inverted chaotic reality, a stark contrast to the ordered and predictable Pokemon world. The aesthetics of the Distortion World further contributes to its desolate and almost hellish atmosphere. It features a rust-colored landmass separated into tiny islands with spiky and incredibly tall trees that resemble giant kelp. The complete absence of other Pokemon, with fishing yielding no results, emphasizes isolation and unique nature. Its occasional appearance in ancient cemeteries further links it to themes of death in the underworld, reinforcing its ominous character. Game Freak has officially stated that Giratina and the Distortion World are personifications of antimatter. The stated goal behind their design was to convey a sense of bipolarity. Scientifically, antimatter is the polar opposite to matter, and results in annihilation upon contact. This inherent destructive potential means that Giratina's domain, by its very nature, poses a constant threat to the material universe. However, the lore departs from strict scientific principles, as characters can enter the Distortion World without being annihilated, highlighting that the concept is used more as a mythological or a symbolic representation rather than a literal scientific one. Within its home dimension, Giratina manifests its true power. It possesses 2 distinct forms: the Altered form, which is its standard appearance when outside its home dimension, and the Origin form, which is its true form, and is active within the Distortion World, or when holding a Griseous Orb or Griseous Core. In its Origin form, Giratina is at its full power and can pass through dimensions at will, making it an incredibly formidable ruler of its chaotic realm. Its unique abilities, such as Shadow Force, allow it to disappear and strike from the shadows, further enhancing its shadowy, elusive, and powerful nature. While initially presented as a place of banishment, the Distortion World's properties as a realm of antimatter and reversed physics elevate it beyond a mere prison. It functions as a fundamental existential counterpart to the material universe. The theory, proposed by characters like Cynthia and Cyrus, that the Distortion World was created by Giratina itself, as a balance for the real world, is crucial. This implies that the Distortion World is not merely a consequence of Giratina's violence, but a necessary component for cosmic equilibrium. This transforms the Devil's Realm from a place of pure evil to a vital, albeit chaotic, balancing force, much like how chaos is sometimes seen as essential for creation in certain mythologies. The developer's stated goal of conveying bipolarity through Giratina and the Distortion World offers a profound understanding of its role. This is not simply about good versus evil, but about fundamental opposites, matter and antimatter, order and chaos, creation and distortion, that exist in tandem. This suggests a philosophical underpinning to the Sinnoh lore, exploring dualism and the idea that for something to exist, its opposite must also exist. Giratina, then, embodies this necessary other side, the darkness required for light to be defined. This elevates the devil comparison from a literal interpretation to a symbolic representation of cosmic duality, where Giratina's existence is a necessary counterpoint to Arceus' creation. Giratina's altered form has a large gray Draconic, 6 thick legs, 3 gold half rings on neck, 2 large horns, black stripe with 5 red horizontal stripes, 2 large black ghostly wings with 3 red tips each. Standard forms outside Distortion World. Standard appearance, less powerful than origin form. Pressure or telepathy as hidden abilities. Its origin form has a serpentine floating, legs reduced to golden tip spikes, 4 additional golden spikes near tail, 6 gold half rings, can grip objects, horns, face backward. True form within Distortion World or holding Griseous Orb. True form, full power, capable of dimensional travel, always levitated. Levitate is its origin form ability. Chapter 3, The Devil's Mark. Visuals, titles, and numerology. The official designation of Giratina as the Renegade Pokémon carries significant symbolic weight. This title directly evokes the image of a rebel or traitor, aligning perfectly with the Luciferian narrative of a powerful being cast out for defiance against its creator. This designation shapes fan theories, making the devil comparison almost inevitable. Giratina's visual design further reinforces these fiendish associations. Its altered form features tattered wings that may represent wings of a demon, and yellow horns on either side of its face may be similar to horns commonly seen on imps, devils, etc. The origin form, with its distinct snake-like appearance, draws a strong visual allegory to the biblical serpent in the Garden of Eden, a potent symbol for deceit and original sin. The color palette of red, gold, and black is also frequently associated with infernal or malevolent entities across various mythologies, further enhancing its ominous presence. Its ghost/dragon typing contributes to its ancient, otherworldly, and foreboding aura. A pervasive fan theory links Giratina's anatomy to the number of the beast, 666. Specific examples cited include 6 upper leg gold designs, 6 lower leg gold designs, 6 feet in its altered form. In its origin form, the theory points to 6 wing spikes, 6 ribs around its neck, and 6 legs, spikes where its wings used to be. While the exact number of the beast is debated in theological contexts, this numerical symbolism is a strong driver of the devil theory among fans. This illustrates a tension between fan interpretation and official intent. While Game Freak's stated inspirations for Giratina were antimatter and relativity, not explicitly Satan, the powerful cultural symbols embedded, whether intentionally or coincidentally, in its design are readily read into by the audience. This highlights how visual cues, regardless of original creator intent, can profoundly shape audience perception and generate extensive fan lore to boot. The reliance on Judeo-Christian symbolism, such as Lucifer, the serpent, and the number 666, for the devil comparison, reveals how deeply ingrained these archetypes are in Western pop culture. The observation that fans often force comparisons and give priority to speculative information instead of official sources, when it comes to this theory, underscores the power of these cultural constructs. It suggests that the devil is less a specific literal entity in Pokémon, and more a conceptual space that Giratina occupies due to its narrative role as the banished, opposing force to a god figure, coupled with its ominous design. This shifts the discussion from a literal, "is it Satan?" to a more academic examination of how Giratina embodies the archetype of the devil in a modern cultural context. Something interesting is that Giratina's design is definitely based on the Eden snake from Genesis, the devil. It had legs, but when influenced humans to sin, it lost it. And Beta Giratina design is surely based of cherubim. Even the jewels on its sides resembles a passage on Bible. The most insane part of this that I'm talking is that these references are very explicit in role in both Giratina designs, the beta as well as the final form. Redditor by the name of Go Boom 31 states an interesting theory. I don't think Volo was the reason why Giratina stopped Cyrus. With Legends, Volo specifically states, "I originally sought out Giratina and had it tear open that rift in space and time. After all, Giratina wished to stand against Arceus." Giratina wasn't working with Volo to destroy the world. Volo just intended to create a problem to get Arceus' attention so he could meet Arceus. Giratina was working with Volo to bait out Arceus, probably for revenge. But in Platinum, Giratina does the same thing again. It once again opens a rift in time and space above Spear Pillar, the Temple of Sinnoh. This time Giratina is actively trying to stop Cyrus. I always took it that Giratina directly intervened. I thought this was due to the distortion in a Pokemon worlds being connected. Both need each other to survive. It acts mostly the same way in both games. But there's no way to say why Giratina is acting this way. It could be out of a selfish desire to protect the Distortion World. It just so happens that the Pokemon world is also needed for that. Giratina could be kind and directly helping out the Pokemon world, supported by a Cynthia quote in Masters. I think Giratina is actually a kind soul, watching over our world from the shadows to protect us. Either way, it seems that Giratina had no malice towards the Pokemon world, but it isn't afraid to risk things to meet its agenda. Another user named Bad Time Trio states, actually, there is something in Legends Arceus that explains that to us. After catching Giratina in the quest line, Professor Laviton explains that according to Volo, Giratina, that it chose to protect the land of Hisui after discovering it was no match for you. Not to mention Cynthia isn't wrong, there is actually a myth about Giratina protecting Pokemon or something. In fact, Giratina was never banished for being evil, but rather it was its violence. Violence could be interpreted by physical force intended to hurt, but its other meaning is strength of emotion or of a destructive natural force. This could explain why Giratina has a grudge with Arceus, because it was banished for something that it was created with. To summarize it all, this theory explores the lore surrounding Giratina and its perceived role as the devil counterpart to Arceus, the god figure in the Pokemon universe. It details how Arceus, as the primordial creator, brought forth Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, is the shadow casted by Arceus. Giratina's banishment to the Distortion World for its violence and anger is a central point, drawing parallels to the Luciferian myth. The Distortion World is described as Giratina's chaotic home, embodying antimatter and presenting a stark contrast to the material universe. Giratina's two forms, altered and origin form, and their powers. Furthermore, it examines the visual cues, such as Giratina's renegade Pokemon title and design elements, and fan theories, including the number of the beast symbolism, that reinforce its devil archetype. Anyways, let me know what you think. Be sure to like and subscribe. Darkrai, frequently identified as the pitch black Pokemon and the nightmare Pokemon, occupies a distinctive and mysterious position within the Pokemon universe. Its most defining characteristic is its unique ability to induce terrifying nightmares in both humans and other Pokemon, a power manifested through its signature ability, Bad Dreams, and its signature move, Dark Void. Visually, Darkrai is depicted as a shadowy, wispy figure with piercing eyes, embodying the very essence of darkness and fear itself. Its activity is notably tied to the nights of the new moon, a period of darkness further cementing its association with the night and the unknown. These fundamental attributes establish Darkrai's known identity and set the stage for a darker story into its potential origins. Despite its classification as a mythical Pokemon and its seemingly elemental connection to darkness and dreams, this video is going to delve into a compelling theory that Darkrai may have once been a human. This transformation could have occurred through extraordinary circumstances, such as scientific experimentation, the imposition of powerful curses, or the overwhelming manifestation of intense human emotions and experiences, particularly those related to nightmares and psychological torment. Darkrai's Pokédex entries across various generations consistently emphasize its role as a dream inducer. It can lure people to sleep and make them dream. Its primary method of interaction, particularly for defense, involves causing deep, nightmarish slumbers to chase people and Pokemon from its territory. The Bad Dreams ability specifically drains health from sleeping opponents, showcasing its direct combat utilities and tied to its dream manipulation. Its signature move, Dark Void, is notorious for its ability to put multiple targets to sleep, power so significant it received nerfs in later games, underscoring its immense control over sleep states. While Darkrai's actions can appear terrifying, some Pokédex entries explicitly state it means no harm. This could suggest that its nightmare-inducing is primarily a defensive or protective mechanism, rather than an act of pure malice. Its liking for solitude and emotional repression are also noted, contributing to its mysterious and often feared reputation. These descriptions present a compelling contradiction, that a being that means no harm, yet afflicts those around it with nightmares as a protective measure. This inherent conflict between its neutral intent and the terrifying, often harmful manifestations of its power is highly unusual for a Pokemon of its type. This paradox strongly suggests a fundamental shift in Darkrai's being. If Darkrai was originally a human, suddenly transformed, and imbued with immense, perhaps uncontrollable power over dreams, they would inevitably struggle to restore their inherent moral compass with the terrifying consequences of their new abilities. This inability to fully control its power, leading to accidental harm and subsequent fear from others, could be the root cause of its emotional repression and its penchant for solitude. This points to a deep internal struggle, a psychological burden more characteristic of a human grappling with a curse or an unwanted mutation than a naturally occurring Pokemon. The very act of causing nightmares, even defensively, could be a source of profound anguish for a being with a human past, leading to its isolation. Physically, Darkrai is listed with a height of 4 feet 11 inches and a weight of 111.3 pounds. origins. Notably, its gender is consistently listed as unknown. These fundamental details form the base of Darkrai's established identity, providing both the challenges and the potential hooks for a human origin theory. In the movies, we can see that Darkrai is often standing on two legs. In the movie The Rise of the Darkrai is where the most human-like attributes are shown. Darkrai, even though is genderless, Darkrai is referred to as a male, just like its counterpart, who is a female Cresselia. Furthermore, in the movie, we can see that Darkrai is also speaking using human language. Regarding its established origins, one prominent fan theory states that Darkrai's genesis stems from Giratina. After its banishment, Giratina's hatred and rage coalesced into a seething dark mass, a formless entity that fed on hatred and fear. This shadow, growing in power from the malice of humans, eventually named itself Darkrai. This narrative suggests a direct, though non-physical, lineage from a powerful deity. Another version of its lore suggests Darkrai was created from a lunar energy accident, adding a tragic and disturbing element to its existence. The Pokemon universe, however, contains numerous examples of humans transforming into Pokemon. To reconcile these, a reinterpretation of creation as a transformation catalyst is a possibility. What if these events were not the ex-creation of Darkrai, but rather powerful external forces that served as catalysts for a human's transformation into Darkrai? For example, a human caught in a lunar energy accident might not have been replaced by Darkrai, but rather transformed by the energy itself, their body and mind warped into the pitch-black Pokemon. Similarly, a human exposed to or consumed by the seething dark mass of Giratina's hatred could have undergone a horrific transformation, their essence fusing with the malevolent energy. This also aligns with the broader theme of human emotions manifesting as Pokemon, where the human element is central to the Pokemon's formation, which I covered in this video. Darkrai made its debut in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and is typically acquired through special in-game events or mystery gift distributions, reinforcing its mythical status. Its most significant portrayal outside the games is in Pokemon, The Rise of Darkrai. In this film, initially feared and blamed for disturbances in Alamos Town, Darkrai is ultimately revealed to be a benevolent force, actively protecting the town from the destructive clash of Dialga and Palkia. It even sacrifices itself to shield the town from their attacks. This heroic portrayal contrasts sharply with its Pokédex description as a territorial nightmare Pokemon. This portrayal is a protector, despite its fearsome abilities, and the Pokédex entries stating it means no harm create a stark contrast with its nightmare-inducing nature. The dynamic with Cresselia, where Cresselia actively mitigates the accidental harm Darkrai causes, further emphasizes this internal conflict. This suggests a being that desires to do good and protect, but struggles profoundly with the inherent negative impact of its powers. This narrative arc, a powerful being misunderstood and feared due to its abilities, yet secretly acting as a protector or striving for good, is a deeply resonant human trope. If Darkrai were a human, this behavior could be a continuation of their original personality, a desperate attempt to atone for the unintended suffering caused by their transformation, or a manifestation of a deeply ingrained protective instinct. And disturbing element to its existence could directly stem from this internal struggle. The isolation it experiences due to its powers, which would be that it causes nightmares to everyone around him, constant burden of accidentally harming others. This aligns with the concept of a cursed existence, where the curse is not just the power, but the inability to control its negative side effects. Darkrai shares a unique, often antagonistic relationship with Cresselia, known as the Lunar Duo. Darkrai's New Moon Island is placed closer to Cresselia's Full Moon Island. While Darkrai causes nightmares, Cresselia's feathers provide pleasant dreams and can cure Darkrai's effects. I speculate them as an old married couple, with Cresselia resentfully cleaning up after Darkrai's accidental nightmare causing, highlighting a complex, like an angry wife, almost a human-like dynamic. This is heavily backed up from the Pokemon Journeys episode where Darkrai shows up and saves Cresselia. Darkrai and Cresselia are based on He mythology of Altair and Vega. The Tanabata legend tells of Orihime, Star Vega, and Hikoboshi, Star Altair, a weaver princess and a cowherd bound by love yet forever separated by the Milky Way. They may meet only once a year under clear skies, a star-crossed reunion of ocean across the heavens. This fits really well within the Generation and 4 games, themes being time-space and antimatter. Each pair is thus defined by celestial opposition and duality, light versus dark, fear versus hope, yet forged by a shared bond and longing. Together these tales weave the same themes of love and separation across the sky. Orihime and Hikoboshi's deep love is tested by the starry river river between them, just as Darkrai and Cresselia's balance is set by opposing lunar phases. In both myths, only rare celestial alignments can bridge the gulf, clear heavens for the star-crossed lovers, or the moon's cycle aligning dreams and shadows. These celestial duets tell a poetic story of separation and reunion, of darkness and light, love and hope enduring even across the vast sky. How Darkrai could have transformed from a human to Pokémon. The Pokémon world offers several incidents for the transformation of humans into Pokémon, providing a foundation for the theory of Darkrai's human origin. These mechanisms fall broadly into categories of experimentation, mystical curses or wishes, and the manifestation of intense emotions. It could have transformed via a higher being like Giratina or Arceus. Gengar, from the Pokémon Mystery Dungeon series, was explicitly revealed to be a human cursed by a Ninetales to be reborn as a Pokémon. This directly supports transformation through mystical means. Multiple Pokédex entries across generations suggest that Kadabra was once a boy with psychic powers who transformed due to an inability to control his abilities. This highlights transformation linked to inherent human abilities and their uncontrolled manifestation. Frostlass, according to legends from snowy regions, is the spirit of a woman who died lost on an icy mountain, her regrets lingering and possessing an icicle to become the Pokémon. This showcases transformation driven by death, lingering grudges, and intense negative emotion. There's a lot of Pokémon that have connections to being human in their past life or such. The lore explicitly states that Pokémon can be born from concentrated human emotions, such as grudges, hate, fear, and envy. Furthermore, the fan theory regarding Darkrai's origin from Giratina's essence describes a seething dark mass that grew and festered when fed with hatred from humans. This shadow then harvested their fear and weakness to grow ever stronger before naming itself Darkrai. This suggests that Darkrai might not be just a manifestation of a Giratina's hatred, but rather the culmination of a human's essence that was overwhelmed and transformed by the very hatred and fear it was feeding upon. The shadow could have been a human soul or consciousness, twisted and empowered by the negative emotions it absorbed from the settlers of Kanalav. This would explain Darkrai's profound and intrinsic connection to human nightmares, which could be a remnant of the human's own bitterness or the malice it absorbed. This origin provides a deeply tragic backstory, aligning with the origins of many ghost-type Pokémon that are born from human suffering or unresolved emotions. The transformation would be a consequence of absorbing and embodying the very negativity it now wields. All this could have been a curse from Giratina, who we have already established is the actually devil of the Pokémon universe, explained in this video. He could have cursed a loving, happily married couple in their dreams, which turned them into mythical and legendary Pokémons. So notice how Darkrai is considered a mythical Pokémon, but its counterpart Cresselia is considered a legendary Pokémon. This would hint that Darkrai was a human who was cursed by Giratina, and Cresselia was blessed by Arceus to counterbalance Darkrai's curse. As when we see Cresselia, it's always glowing with an angelic glow to it. Darkrai is synonymous with nightmares. It not only induces them, but can travel through dreams to find its target. Its signature move, Dark Void, puts targets to sleep, and Nightmare deals damage to sleeping opponents. The sheer power of Dark Void, necessitating nerfs, highlights Darkrai's unparalleled mastery over sleep and dreams. A crucial piece of evidence comes from the Pokémon Mystery Dungeon series, specifically Explorers of Time and Darkness and Explorers of Sky, where the hero is explicitly transformed into a Pokémon after being attacked by Darkrai while traveling through time. This provides a direct canonical link between Darkrai's abilities and the process of human to Pokémon transformation. The Mystery Dungeon series provides direct evidence that Darkrai's abilities can cause a human to Pokémon transformation. This is not a theoretical possibility, but an established event within a significant branch of Pokémon lore. If Darkrai possesses the power to inflict such a profound, existential change on others, it is highly plausible that it itself was either a victim of or created through an extreme manifestation of this very power. Consider a human, perhaps one with innate psychic sensitivity, like the boy who became Kadabra, who was overwhelmed by a traumatic dream experience, a curse that bound them to the realm of nightmares, or an uncontrolled surge of psychic energy, their consciousness trapped, warped, or even solidified within this dreamscape, could have physically manifested as Darkrai, a being intrinsically linked to that realm. This would explain Darkrai's unparalleled mastery over dreams and nightmares. Building upon this for human to Pokémon transformation, three primary hypotheses emerge regarding Darkrai's potential human origin. Each hypothesis draws upon specific aspects of Darkrai's lore, behavior, and physical characteristics. Hypothesis 1. The Nightmare-Forged Human. This hypothesis posits that Darkrai was once a human, perhaps an individual with exceptional psychic sensitivity, or someone who endured profound psychological torment, who became irrevocably trapped within an inescapable, pervasive nightmare. This prolonged and agonizing experience, possibly amplified by external dark energies or a powerful curse, fundamentally warped their essence, transforming them into the living embodiment of nightmares. Darkrai's intrinsic mastery mastery over nightmares provides a key clue. Its unparalleled ability to induce deep, nightmarish slumbers, and its capacity to travel through dreams to find its target suggests a connection to the dream world so intrinsic that it implies an origin from within that realm. The sheer power of Dark Void, which was subsequently nerfed in games, further emphasized this deep-seated mastery. If a human's consciousness was forged in the crucible of a perpetual nightmare, this mastery would be a natural, albeit terrifying outcome. Darkrai's defensive yet misunderstood behavior further supports this. The Pokédex states, Darkrai means no harm, and acts defensively to protect its territory. This profound paradox, a creature of terror with benevolent intent, could be the lingering moral compass of the human, now tragically unable to control the terrifying side effects of their transformed state. Its noted solitude and emotional repression would be a direct consequence of this internal conflict, and the fear it inadvertently causes in others, leading to self-imposed isolation. Hypothesis 2. The Cursed Protector. This hypothesis proposes that a human, perhaps a dedicated guardian, or someone who made a desperate wish to protect others from encroaching darkness or nightmares, was subjected to a powerful curse or a mystical transformation. This act, or the curse itself, irrevocably transformed them into Darkrai, granting them immense power over dreams, but at the profound cost of their humanity and a perpetual state of misunderstanding and fear from those they sought to protect. Darkrai's most compelling portrayals in Pokémon, The Rise of Darkrai, where it acts as a clear protagonist, selflessly protecting Alamo's town from the destructive clash of Dialga and Palkia. This overt protective nature, even to the point of self-sacrifice, is a significant departure from its Pokédex descriptions as merely territorial. This strong protective instinct could be a profound remnant of its human self, a core personality trait that persisted transformation. Its willingness to confront and even sacrifice itself against cosmic deities like Dialga and Palkia suggests a deep-seated sense of duty, a profound moral compass, or an unwavering desire to prevent widespread destruction, all highly human characteristics. The very power intended to protect by driving away threats or embodying a defensive force inherently causes suffering to innocents through accidental nightmares. This is a classic, tragic hero narrative. This tragic irony would logically explain Darkrai's consistent solitude and its misunderstood nature. The evidence and connecting the dots. A comprehensive analysis of Darkrai's characteristics and lore, viewed through the lens of human to Pokemon transformation, reveals several compelling connections. Darkrai's physical characteristics offer notable correlations. The specific measurements of 4 feet and 11 inches and 111.3 pounds are strikingly human-like. Despite its shadowy, wispy form, Darkrai consistently maintains a bipedal humanoid silhouette, distinguishing it from many other elemental or beast-like Pokemon, and even speaking in the Pokemon movie The Rise of Darkrai. The consistent human-like dimensions, height, weight, bipedal form, speech, and the mythological romance are significant outliers for a mythical Pokemon. This specificity in design suggests a deliberate choice by the creators that could hint at a human template or origin. If Darkrai was indeed a human, these physical traits would represent its former self, distorted perhaps by the transformation. This further supports the idea of a profound, perhaps painful transformation, rather than a purely natural or elemental creation, suggesting that the human form was the foundational blueprint for the Darkrai we know. The most direct counter-argument is the fan theory, widely accepted as lore, that Darkrai was born from Giratina's hatred and rage coalescing into a seething dark mass, and this suggests an elemental, non-human origin. However, as previously discussed, this creation can be reinterpreted not as nothingness, but as a catalyst for a human's transformation. The human could have been exposed to, or even consumed by, this coalesced hatred, leading to their metamorphosis into Darkrai. This reinterpretation would explain the spiteful heart attributed to Darkrai, which could be a fusion of the human's own despair and the absorbed malice. Similarly, the lunar energy accident origin also presents a challenge, but can be viewed as a transformative event acting upon a human rather than purely creating a new entity. The theory of Darkrai's human origin, while speculative, coherently recontextualizes existing lore within the Pokemon universe. Several compelling arguments support this interpretation. The Pokemon world provides numerous established precedents for human to Pokemon transformation, occurring through diverse mechanisms such as curses, the overwhelming manifestations of intense emotions, grudges, fear, and hatred. The Rise of Darkrai suggests a hidden intent or a lingering moral compass that transcends its fearsome abilities, hinting at a past rooted in human empathy or duty. What if I told you that the seemingly innocent video game that is Pokémon, the pixelated Gen 1 games that you've played as a kid, held a secret so dark, so terrifying, it drove children to kill themselves? This isn't just some spooky campfire story. This is about something that burrowed its way into the minds of young players, twisting their thoughts and leading to truly horrific outcomes. That's something so pure, so nostalgic, could hide such a sinister story. The very idea of a beloved childhood pastime turning into a source of dread creates a deeply unsettling feeling, hitting you right where your most cherished memories reside. Today we're diving deep into the chilling story behind the title you just saw. Catching this Pokemon lead 5 children to suicide. Could a few notes of music really twist a child's mind so completely, leading them down a path of no return? We all remember Lavender Town, right? For years, whispers have circulated about a specific town, a specific song, that brought a real-world horror into living rooms across Japan. Today, we're peeling back the layers of the Lavender Town syndrome. A legend so disturbing, so persistent, it makes you question everything you thought you knew about childhood games. We'll explore where it came from, why it stuck around, and the truly unsettling twist that makes it even more terrifying. Get ready, because this isn't the Pokemon story you grew up with. Chapter 1. The Problem of the Whispers from Lavender Town. In Japan, 1996. A new game drops, and it's an absolute phenomenon. Pokemon Red and Green. Kids everywhere are glued to their Game Boys, catching adorable pocket monsters, battling their way to the top. It was a cultural explosion, a vibrant, exciting world that captured the imagination of millions. But then, you reach Lavender Town, and everything changes. This isn't your usual happy-go-lucky Pokemon vibe. This place is different. It's where Pokemon go to die. A grim, spooky graveyard filled with mourning trainers and unsettling ghosts. And the music? That's where everything goes to shambles. It's not just creepy, it's unsettling. The background music of Lavender Town is famous for its eerie atmosphere. It's filled with sharp, atonal notes, a high-pitched whine that just gets under your skin. Even as an adult, listening to it on a loop can give you a vague sense of dread. It's the kind of sound that makes the hairs on your arms stand up, giving you goosebumps all throughout your body, and a subtle, creeping unease that you can't quite shake. The deliberate use of these specific auditory details, like sharp, atonal notes and a high-pitched whine, is meant to create an immersive, almost tactile sense of unease for the listener. This isn't just telling you the music is creepy, it's describing it in a way that allows your imagination to conjure the unsettling feeling, making the horror feel more immediate and impactful. It's said that under the music in many of the layers, there's binaural beats. Binaural beats are an auditory phenomenon where your brain perceives a third tone when presented with 2 slightly different frequencies, one in each ear. This phantom tone is actually the brain's interpretation of the difference between the 2 frequencies, and it's thought to potentially influence brainwave activity and lead to various effects like relaxation or increased focus or a way to change the cognitive functions of your brain. Chapter 2. The True Number of Deaths. Soon after the game's release, the rumors began. Not about Pokemon battles, but about something far more dark. Reports started trickling in, flowing all throughout Japan. Children, mostly in Japan, were reportedly suffering from terrible headaches, nosebleeds, even becoming super angry or having panic attacks. And then, the most horrifying part? Suicides. The rumor claimed hundreds of Japanese children, over 100, even up to 200, took their own lives in the spring of 1996, all linked to that one curse tune. It was a terrifying claim, painting a picture of widespread, unimaginable tragedy. I remember playing Red and Blue, and yeah, Lavender Town always felt really off. Honestly speaking, the pixelated graphics of Gen 1 always kinda scared me a little, so I never got to finish the entire game. I didn't know about any syndrome back then, but that music, it made me want to get out of there fast. I would always go to the Pokemon Center when I had to switch my Pokemons around. I didn't want to hear that scary tune. Imagine being a kid, headphones on, totally immersed, and this sound starts messing with your head. You wouldn't even know why you felt so wrong, just that you had to make it stop. And for some, the tale says they couldn't. The initial grand claims of hundreds or 200 child suicides were designed to shock and create a massive impact. However, such large, round numbers, while horrifying, can sometimes feel too exaggerated, almost unbelievable, making the legend seem like a fantasy rather than genuinely plausible. This initial overstatement, though effective for immediate shock, actually sets up a fascinating dynamic for how urban legends evolve to become more subtly terrifying later on. But as with all good ghost stories, if you look closely enough, the seams start to show. The more people dug, the more questions popped up. No official reports, no widespread media panic at the time, nothing that truly backed up these horrific claims of hundreds of deaths. Turns out the Lavender Town syndrome was, in fact, a carefully crafted urban legend, a creepypasta born online in the 2010s, not a real event from the 90s. The hundreds of children, or 200 suicides. That was part of the story. It was designed to hit you hard, to make you gasp. It was the ultimate scare tactic, making the tragedy seem massive and undeniable. The bigger the number, the bigger the fear, right? But here's the truly unsettling twist, the one that makes this legend even more sticky, even more believable, even though it's still just a story. An unknown source, buried deep in the internet's dark corners, later confirmed that it wasn't hundreds of kids, it was 5. Take it with a grain of salt, 5 is still a lot. Hundreds is a statistic. It's a number so big, it almost feels fake, like something out of a bad horror movie. 5 children. That's specific. That's personal. That's a small group. A tragic incident that feels real. It makes the legend feel less like a wild tale and more like a hushed, terrible secret that could have happened, even if it didn't. This subtle shift from a grand, unbelievable number to a precise, smaller figure represents a sophisticated evolution in the legend's ability to terrify. It taps into a human psychological tendency. A smaller, more specific tragedy feels more authentic and easier to imagine as a hidden truth, making the legend itself far more potent and insidious than its initial exaggerated version. Even with this more believable number, it's still a legend. But it's a legend that learned how to truly terrify. It evolved, just like a virus, to become more potent, more insidious. The narrative choice to unveil this mystery and present a more believable number provides a powerful payoff for the anticipation that built throughout the story. Chapter 2, How it became popular. So how did this terrifying tale go from Japan to becoming a global phenomenon? The answer is the internet, specifically the wild, untamed early 2010s internet, and places like 4chan. This is where the Lavender Town Syndrome truly became a creepypasta, a horror story, often short and disturbing that spreads like wildfire online, designed to make you wonder if it's real. Think of it like a digital game of telephone, but instead of words getting twisted, the fear just gets amplified. And boy, did people want to believe this one. The storytellers were good. They added layers of chilling detail, claims of binaural beats and high-pitched tones only kids could hear, messing with their brains and causing headaches and erratic behavior. It sounded scientific, right? Like a hidden frequency, a secret weapon targeting innocent minds. They even photoshopped creepy images into the music's sound waves, ghosts the Pokémon unknown spelling out "Leave now." It was all designed to make you feel like you were uncovering a hidden truth, a secret conspiracy. There were even claims that Nintendo quietly recalled the original games, secretly changing the music for international releases, a classic they don't want you to know conspiracy. But here's the really wild part, the thing that gave this urban legend its terrifying grounding, the Den-O-Senshi Porygon incident. Back in 1997, a Pokémon anime episode with flashing lights caused hundreds of Japanese children to have seizures. A real event where a kids show actually harmed kids. So when the Lavender Town Syndrome story popped up, talking about kids getting sick from a Pokémon game, well, it just clicked for people. It felt plausible because something similar had actually happened. This strategic blending of clearly fabricated elements with a verifiable, real-world incident created the powerful sense of reality. By linking the fictional illness to a documented event, the story blurred the lines between fantasy and reality, making the unbelievable seem chillingly possible, especially for an audience less able to fact-check events in a foreign country. The internet didn't just host the story, it acted as a massive megaphone, amplifying every terrifying detail. The anonymity of platforms like 4chan allowed countless individuals to add their own gruesome embellishments, creating a constantly evolving narrative that fed on itself. This rapid, unverified sharing thrives on ambiguity and mystery, leaving just enough unsaid for your own imagination to fill in the most horrifying gaps. The story became a living, breathing entity of fear, constantly adapting and growing more potent as it spread from screen to screen. So, the legend of Lavender Town Syndrome, a chilling melody, a fabricated illness, and a terrifying story that evolved to become even more believable by shrinking its horror down to a haunting few. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the scariest things aren't ghosts or monsters, but the stories we tell ourselves, and how easily they can take root in our minds. Today I'll be diving deep that will fundamentally change how you see the Ultra Beasts. There's 7 Ultra Beasts that embody the 7 deadly sins, and 7 Ultra Beasts / Pokemons that embody 7 heavenly virtues. Starting with Guzzlord, Gluttony, the obvious one. Let's start with the most straightforward connection, the one the game practically screams at you, officially known as UB05 Glutton. This colossal, dark dragon-type Ultra Beast is a living black hole. Its Pokédex entries paint a vivid picture of its destructive appetite, describing it as having an astounding, limitless hunger, feeding without pause every moment. This creature doesn't just eat food, it devours mountains, buildings, rivers, and even entire seas. And here's the truly unsettling part. Despite consuming such massive amounts, no droppings have ever been found. Matter of fact, its digestion is described as perfect, converting everything it consumes directly into energy to sustain itself. This isn't just hunger, it's an insatiable, all-consuming void. The connection to gluttony is undeniable. survival. Gluttony, in its core definition, is the excessive and ongoing consumption of food or drink. Guzzlord is the ultimate embodiment of this sin, a creature whose very existence is defined by its insatiable consumption. It doesn't eat to live, it lives to eat, leaving nothing but barren wasteland. Now for a truly wild theory that adds a layer of cosmic tragedy to Guzzlord's gluttony. What if Guzzlord isn't just a random cosmic vacuum cleaner? There's a compelling fan theory that Guzzlord is actually a corrupted Zygarde from an alternate universe. In this reality, a catastrophic event, possibly a nuclear accident like a power plant meltdown, threw the balance of nature out of whack. Zygarde, the Pokemon meant to maintain ecological balance, got caught in the blast, and its cells mutated beyond recognition. These mutated cells, now unable to fuse normally, concluded that the only way to reach their 100% form and hard reset the balance of nature was to eat everything in sight for its survival. This theory provides a chilling explanation for why Guzzlord is apparently a common organism in the world where it normally lives. What's more abundant than individual Zygarde cells? It also aligns with Guzzlord's inspiration from Agrajag, a monster from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that continuously reincarnates into bizarre forms after being killed. This suggests a cyclical, self-perpetuating nature to its consumption. It's a subtle but potent warning about humanity's impact on the environment. An opposite of gluttony is Kartana, aka Temperance. Kartana, known as UB-04 Blade, is a grass-starched steel-type Ultra Beast that strikingly resembles an origami human. It is described as thin as paper and is recognized as one of the lightest Pokemon in existence, perfectly contrasting Guzzlord, who is one of the heaviest Pokemons to ever exist. Its body is razor-sharp, with every edge has as cruel a cutting edge as any well-honed blade. It is capable of cutting down a gigantic steel tower with one stroke. Despite this destructive capability, it also evades attacks by dancing lightly out of the way. Kartana's characteristics align perfectly with Temperance, which is about self-discipline, resisting temptations, and avoiding excess. Despite its incredible cutting power, Kartana operates with remarkable precision and control. It does not rampage wildly or engage in wanton destruction like an embodiment of wrath. Instead, it cuts with surgical efficiency. Its paper-thin body and exceptionally light weight suggest a fundamental lack of excess, embodying a lean, minimalist design. It is a master of controlled power, utilizing only what is necessary and avoiding the temptations of brute force or unrestrained fury. It is the embodiment of controlled, focused power rather than unbridled fury. Kartana is like that super disciplined friend who only eats exactly what they need, never overindulges, and then can slice a brick in half with a flick of their wrist. Since it's based off of a samurai, who are known for their discipline and honor, the unique combination of Kartana's paper-thin, fragile body and its razor-sharp edges, capable of cutting through immense structures with a single stroke, along with its ability to dance lightly to evade attacks, reveals a deeper aspect of Temperance. This demonstrates that true effectiveness and power are not necessarily about overwhelming force or excess, but about disciplined, focused application of skill and precision. Its physical fragility necessitates a controlled approach, highlighting that restraint and accuracy can be more impactful than unbridled might. This connection emphasizes that temperance, as a virtue, leads to a refined and efficient use of one's capabilities, avoiding unnecessary waste or destruction. The next sin we have is Wrath. Now this video is about Ultra Beasts, but I'm also going to include some of the legendaries from Sun and Moon, and you will understand how well these sins are actually represented through these Pokemons. Now I know Necrozma is not an Ultra Beast. These legendaries and Ultra Beasts fall into the same category, so I am counting it in. This psychic type legendary is a being of pure, unadulterated wrath. Its behavior is driven by a state of constant, maddening pain resulting from its incomplete form. Lore reveals that it was severely injured by the Ultra Recon Squad's ancestors, who attempted to steal its light. As a desperate measure to sustain itself and regain its original form, Necrozma relentlessly steals light from other beings and places, a behavior that earned it the ancient title of Pillager of Light. When Necrozma fuses with either Solgaleo or Lunala, its destructive tendencies escalate. It becomes uncontrollably vicious and constantly rampages, perceiving everything it encounters as an enemy, and brutally attacking with its claws or laser beams that can cut through anything. This isn't merely anger, it's an overwhelming, destructive rage born from profound suffering. Wrath is defined as strong anger and hate towards another person, and Necrozma's actions are a cosmic manifestation of this intense, destructive emotion. Imagine being in constant agony, and your only relief is to violently tear apart the very light that sustains life. That's Necrozma's tragic, wrathful existence. Its wrath is a direct consequence of past aggression against it. Wrath is basically like vengeance. The attempted theft of its light by the ancestors, driven by their own greed or ambition, inflicted a lasting injury and pain upon Necrozma. This suffering then manifests as Necrozma's wrathful pillaging of light, plunging worlds into darkness. This sequence illustrates how unchecked negative actions can inflict enduring suffering, which in turn can lead to destructive behavior in the victim, perpetuating a cycle of darkness and pain across dimensions. The next Pokemon we have is Lunala, the ethereal moon Pokemon, a psychic ghost-type legendary, honored as an emissary of the moon and the beast that calls the moon. Lunala distinguishes itself by constantly absorbing light to convert it into energy, and possesses the remarkable ability to obscure daylight with darkness. Like its counterpart Solgaleo, it creates ultra wormholes and holds the power to restore Necrozma's light. Although it is also hunted by Necrozma, its unique ability, Shadow Shield, reduces the amount of damage it takes when its HP is full. Lunala's characteristics align beautifully with patience and wisdom. Patience is about enduring calmly and steadily, while wisdom often stems from quiet observation, reflection, and deep understanding. As the emissary of the moon, Lunala operates predominantly in the quiet of night, patiently absorbing light and transforming it into usable energy. Its ability to obscure daylight suggests a subtle, pervasive power, one that manifests through quiet transformation rather than sudden, explosive force. It diligently gathers energy, and its Shadow Shield ability signifies a calm, defensive posture rather than an aggressive one. Lunala provides light in the darkness, serving as a guiding presence. Much like wisdom illuminates difficult paths and brings clarity, it stands as the calm, reflective counterpart to Solgaleo's more active and fiery courage. While Solgaleo's out there punching meteors, Lunala's just chilling, absorbing the cosmic vibes, processing all that light into pure energy. It's the quiet genius, the one who thinks before it acts. Lunala's constant absorption of light and its conversion into energy, along with its association with the moon and night, reveal a deeper aspect of its connection to patience and wisdom. Unlike Solgaleo's active light-giving, Lunala absorbs and converts, which suggests a process of internalizing and processing information, light, to gain power and insight. Its ability to obscure daylight represents the wisdom of understanding that even in darkness there is a different kind of power and clarity to be found. This highlights how true wisdom often comes from quiet observation, patient processing of experiences, and the ability to find strength and insight even in seemingly empty or dark moments, transforming them into sources of deeper understanding. Next virtue we have is Fortitude or Courage, represented as Solgaleo. Solgaleo, the magnificent sun Pokemon, is a psychic Jost Steel-type legendary, revered in ancient times as the emissary of the sun, and even the beast that devours the sun. It radiates an intense light, capable of making the darkest night appear like midday. This powerful creature can create ultra wormholes to traverse dimensions just like Lunala, and attack by slamming into targets with the force of a meteor. Crucially, alongside Lunala, it possesses the power to restore Necrozma's light, a being consumed by pain and wrath. Despite being constantly hunted by Necrozma, who seeks to devour its light, Solgaleo can willingly coexist with Necrozma even when fused. Its unique ability, Full Metal Body, physically prevents other Pokemon's moves or abilities from lowering its stats. Solgaleo perfectly embodies fortitude, the virtue of strength, resilience, and courage in the face of adversity. It stands as a perpetual beacon of light, constantly giving and radiating energy. Even when targeted and absorbed by Necrozma, the embodiment of wrath and suffering, Solgaleo maintains its core essence, and can even willingly coexist. Its Full Metal Body ability serves as a physical manifestation of its unyielding spirit, signifying that it cannot be weakened or diminished by external forces. It confronts darkness and pain head-on, bringing light and even offering a path to healing for a broken entity like Necrozma. That is a pure courage and unwavering fortitude. Solgaleo is like that friend who always sees the good in people. They just keep shining, keep pushing no matter what. Solgaleo's nature is a being composed of light, and its ability to not only withstand Necrozma's constant pursuit, but also willingly coexist with it and restore its light, reveal a profound aspect of fortitude. This goes beyond mere physical strength. It symbolizes the resilience of hope and light in the face of consuming darkness. Its capacity to willingly integrate with Necrozma, the embodiment of pain and wrath, suggests a deep capacity for empathy, and an enduring spirit that offers a path to healing even for the most broken. This implies that true fortitude isn't just about fighting or resisting, but also about enduring, forgiving, and offering a chance for redemption, illuminating the way forward even in the bleakest circumstances. Nihilego, who represents Envy known as UB01 the Symbiont, is a rock poison type ultra beast that resembles a jellyfish, but beneath its ethereal appearance lies a sinister parasitic nature. This creature latches onto a host's head, and rather than directly controlling their actions, it awakens and boosts the host's inherent capabilities to an extreme extent for its own self-preservation. It achieves this by injecting a neurotoxin that induces feelings of extreme excitement and a lack of inhibition, and even transforms negative emotions into happiness and pleasure. It's also noted that Nihilego mostly feeds on those who feel intense worry or anxiety. Nihilego's behavior strongly aligns with envy, which is the intense desire to have what someone else possesses. Nihilego literally takes over others, not just for raw power, but to become like them or experience what they have. It sometimes exhibits behavior akin to a young girl, and a prominent theory suggests its design is linked to Lily, with Lucamine even dressing her daughter to resemble the Ultra Beast. This implies a deep-seated desire to embody or possess the qualities or identity of another. Its neurotoxin, which transforms negative emotions into pleasure, can be interpreted as an envious desire to fix or corrupt the internal state of others, making them feel what it wants them to feel, or simply consuming their emotional energy. Imagine Nihilego seeing someone effortlessly happy. Oh, you're just so chill? Let me get in there and make you really excited. Or maybe just turn your worries into pure bliss, whether you like it or not. It desires what you have, even your innermost feelings. The interaction between Nihilego and its host reveals a disturbing perversion of self-improvement. While it amplifies the host's abilities and induces artificial pleasure, these enhancements are ultimately for Nihilego's benefit, and the happiness it provides is chemically induced rather than genuine. This suggests a twisted form of envy, not merely wanting what others possess, but wanting to force them to conform to what it desires, or to experience a manipulated version of their own potential. This interaction serves as a chilling commentary on external forces dictating internal states and capabilities, stripping away genuine agency under the guise of enhancement.
When did you start becoming beautiful?
The next virtue we have is Celesteela, who represents diligence. Celesteela, known as UB-04 Blaster, is a steel/flying type. Previous theories attempted to assign sloth to it, based on the misconception that it just kind of sits on the ground for years. That is incorrect. Its Pokédex entry explicitly states it's seen flying across the sky at high speeds, and its home, Ultra Crater, is constantly racked with earthquakes caused by these creatures rocketing into the sky. Furthermore, it grows out of the ground like a plant, and absorbs nutrients from the soil. It possesses an incredibly long lifespan, with one specimen found buried in Alola having grown for over 200 years. Celesteela strongly embodies diligence, which is characterized by careful and persistent work or effort. This Ultra Beast is far from lazy. It is a creature defined by persistent, long-term growth and immense, powerful effort. It patiently absorbs nutrients from the soil for centuries, a testament to its enduring commitment. This slow, methodical accumulation of energy culminates in its ability to rocket into the sky, with thrusters powerful enough to destroy an entire bamboo forest. This behavior is not sloth. It is the epitome of diligent, slow-burn effort leading to explosive, sustained power in flight. It's the ultimate long-term project. Celesteela's unique life cycle, involving centuries of slow, plant-like growth from the ground, absorbing nutrients, followed by its ability to launch into space with immense power, reveals a deeper aspect of diligence. This progression highlights the power of sustained growth. The patient, long-term absorption and development represent the quiet, consistent work that builds immense internal energy and capability. This stands in stark contrast to the pursuit of instant gratification or short-lived, explosive efforts. It demonstrates that true power and the ability to achieve monumental feats, such as reaching for the stars, originate from the consistent, dedicated, and diligent development over extended periods. The next sin is greed. Meet Xurkitree, UB-03 Lighting, the electric-type Ultra Beast that strikingly resembles a walking power grid. This creature exhibits an insatiable thirst for electricity. Reports indicate it has a tendency to raid power plants and drain all their energy before moving on to the next one. When its energy reserves run low, it simply stabs its legs and tail into the ground, much like a tree, to absorb electricity. Furthermore, these beings can vary dramatically in size, from a little bigger than a human to being the size of a mountain. The immense power Xurkitree can discharge, up to 1,000,000 volts at a time, and its ability to grow to mountainous proportions underscore a profound paradox of power accumulation. Its existence appears to be driven by an insatiable need for electricity, leading to massive power accumulation. This power isn't merely for survival, it's also for competitive display. Xurkitree has a known rivalry with Blacephalon, often competing in contests to see who can shine the brightest. This suggests suggests that its immense power is not solely for practical utility, but also for a prideful, competitive display of its accumulated wealth in the form of electricity. This highlights how greed can lead to an empty pursuit of more, where accumulation becomes an end in itself rather than a means to a meaningful purpose. Circuitry's behavior perfectly aligns with greed, defined as an excessive pursuit of material goods. For circuitry, that material good is the electricity. It doesn't just consume what it needs for survival, it drains everything in sight, leaving nothing behind, and then relentlessly seeks more. The fact that it can grow to mountain size suggests an unending accumulation of power, far beyond what any single creature could reasonably require. It's an endless self-serving accumulation of resources. We all know that one friend who takes the last slice of pizza, even when they're full. Circuitry is that friend, but with entire power grids, and then it grows taller. The next two virtues are Poipole and Naganadel, who represent kindness and humility. Poipole, known as Ultra Beast Adhesive, is a poison-type Ultra Beast. It is known to fire a glowing adhesive poison from the needles on its head, often while laughing wildly. This behavior might initially sound sinister, but here's the crucial detail. Despite its potentially harmful abilities, Poipole is well-liked enough in its own world to be chosen as a first partner. Furthermore, the animated series reveals that it can shoot a harmless multicolored substance as a way to paint, which can be used to communicate with humans and other Pokémon. It also develops the ability to understand human speech after spending time with people. Its evolution, Naganadel, a poisoned Dragonist type, can communicate with humans through telepathy and show them visions of the past. It was also the only Ultra Beast that Ash caught in his team. While its wild laughter and poison might seem to suggest a darker trait like malicious joy or even a form of wrath, a deeper examination reveals a compelling case for kindness and humility. Kindness is defined as placing the desire to help others above the need to supersede them. Poipole's ability to be chosen as a first partner, its use of harmless paint for communication, and its capacity to understand human speech all point to an innate desire for connection and positive interaction, despite its dangerous capabilities. It chooses to use its abilities for expression and bonding, even for healing. Naganadel's telepathy and ability to share visions further emphasize a desire to connect and impart understanding, rather than solely to harm, which shows its humility. Poipole, being the only Ultra Beast capable of evolution, suggests that these Ultra Beasts are capable of much more than any of the other Ultra Beasts. Its poison is not always malicious, but a tool that can be wielded with discretion, allowing for a choice to be kind. It's like having a super sharp knife, but choosing to use it to carve beautiful art instead of just, well, cutting things. Being both adhesive and yet also capable of being a harmless multicolored substance, used for painting and communication, reveals a deeper understanding of kindness. This duality suggests that true kindness is not merely the absence of harm, but the conscious choice to use one's inherent abilities, even those with destructive potential, for positive interaction, expression, and connection. The fact that Poipole is well-liked and chosen as a first partner in its homeworld reinforces that its natural disposition, despite its appearance or primary attack method, leans towards benevolent interaction. This highlights that kindness is an active decision to channel one's power for the benefit of others, fostering understanding and positive relationships. Buzzwole, who represents the sin of pride. Behold Buzzwole, known as UB02 Absorption. This bug-fighting type Ultra Beast is essentially a giant anthropomorphic mosquito bodybuilder. Its Pokédex entries emphatically highlight its abnormally swollen muscles, which it constantly goes around showing off. It has a distinctive habit of striking a pose every time it takes action. This creature is no mere show-off. It possesses immense physical strength, capable of pulverizing a dump truck with a single punch. Buzzwole's behavior is a textbook example of pride. Pride is defined as an excessive view of oneself without due regard for others. Buzzwole is the ultimate gym enthusiast, perpetually flexing, posing, and drawing attention to its formidable physique. It embodies pure, unadulterated vanity and self-aggrandizement. It doesn't just have muscles, it demands that you acknowledge them. This is a classic, almost comically overt representation of physical pride. We've all seen that one person at the gym doing bicep curls in front of the mirror for what feels like an eternity. Buzzwole is that person, but it's also a giant mosquito who could punch a hole through reality, so slightly more intimidating. Buzzwole's constant display of its muscles and its habit of posing with every action illustrate a deeper aspect of pride, the performance of power. This behavior reveals that its pride isn't solely an internal feeling. It's a constant need for external validation and admiration through overt displays of its strength. This highlights how pride can manifest not just as an inflated ego, but as a performative aspect of vanity, where power is wielded as much for show and recognition as for actual utility. But pride can also be represented through Blacephalon, UB Burst, the Fire Ghost type Ultra Beast that's essentially a walking exploding circus act, and this colorful humanoid is notorious for its deceptive tactics. It's known to trick its targets through a silly walk before, without warning, triggering the explosion of its own head. Then it capitalized on the element of surprise to steal their vitality. Its head is not permanently attached, can be freely moved around, and regenerates after exploding, while the colors of its sparks change with its mood. It even has a rivalry with Xurkitree. Blacephalon's behavior is a theatrical display meticulously designed to shock, ultimately for its own self-serving gain, vitality theft. This isn't just about raw strength, it's about performance, about being the absolute center of attention through a shocking, unpredictable act. Its silly walk is a deliberate act of deception, a clownish facade intended to lower the guard of its targets before a dramatic, self-destructive, yet ultimately harmless to itself explosion. This represents a twisted form of pride, a vanity that thrives on the reactions of others, even if those reactions are terror or confusion. Its rivalry with Xurkitree to shine brightest further solidifies its desire for recognition and spectacle. So you think you're safe? You're laughing at its goofy walk? BAM! Head explosion! It's like the ultimate prank, but with existential dread and vitality theft. Blacephalon's method of attack, tricking targets with a silly walk before a sudden head explosion and vitality theft, reveals a deeper aspect of its nature. This behavior highlights a particularly insidious form of pride, performative vanity that employs deception, and even a seemingly self-destructive act, its head exploding, as a means to achieve its goals and exploit others. The regeneration of its head suggests an endless cycle of this destructive performance. This illustrates how vanity, when taken to extremes, can evolve into a dangerous, manipulative force that prioritizes spectacle and self-aggrandizement over genuine interaction, ultimately preying on the unsuspecting. The next sin represented by Pheromosa is another obvious one. Lust Pheromosa, the lissom Pokemon. Now at first glance you might think beauty, speed, cleanliness, but let's dig deeper. Pheromosa's allure is so intense, so captivating, it's described as overwhelming anyone who lays eyes on it. Its extreme speed and almost ethereal beauty combine to create a creature that inspires an unhealthy, almost desperate desire to be around it, or perhaps to be it. This is lust in its most intoxicating form. It's not just physical attraction, it's an insatiable desire for an ideal, a perfection, an allure that consumes both the beholder and arguably Pheromosa itself in its pursuit of absolute untouched grace. It's so obsessed with its own pristine perfection and its captivating presence that it radiates a powerful, almost controlling magnetism, a form of vanity that demands all attention and embodies a pure, self-focused, almost consuming yearning for aesthetic dominance. It's like a supermodel who not only knows they're beautiful, but demands everyone else acknowledge it with an intensity that can be unnerving. The last virtue we have is innocence, represented by Cosmog. This little guy starts as nothing more than a gas cloud, utterly helpless, needing constant protection and care. It can't even fight. All it does is float, absorb light, and eventually, with time and immense energy, transform into something truly legendary. Cosmog is the embodiment of innocence. It's pure potential, untainted by the chaos of the world. It's vulnerable, relying on others for its survival. A blank slate waiting to grow and become. It reminds us of the purity of beginnings, the uncorrupted state before the world's influences take hold. It's like a brand new baby, full of raw, unblemished potential, and utterly dependent on kindness and care. Cosmog is to be kept sacred so that it can evolve into either the embodiment of fortitude or patience. The last sin is none other than Sloth, represented in Stakataka. Newbie Assembly, the rock steel-type ultra beast that visually resembles a precarious stack of living bricks. This unique entity is composed of approximately 150 individual stone life forms stacked together. When it desires to rest or sleep, it quite literally plants itself on the ground and disguises itself as a stone building. It possesses one of the lowest speed stats among all Pokemon, and holds the distinction of being the heaviest rock-type Pokemon. And here's a quirky detail. It hates having anything on top of itself and will violently attempt to shake it off. Stakataka's characteristics strongly align with Sloth, which is defined as excessive laziness or a failure to act and utilize one's talents. Stakataka is the ultimate couch potato of the Ultra Beasts. It prefers to remain stationary, blending into its environment as a building. Its incredibly low speed and immense weight make any form of movement a monumental effort, suggesting a profound aversion to exertion. Its violent reaction to anything placed on its head isn't just a quirk, it's the ultimate "don't bother me, I'm trying to chill" attitude, a clear manifestation of its desire for undisturbed inactivity. Stakataka is the slowest Pokemon ever made. The composition of Stakataka being an assembly of around 150 individual stone life forms, combined with its immense weight and remarkably low speed, reveals a deeper aspect of its connection to Sloth. Its physical structure and extreme slowness imply that movement is inherently difficult, leading to a preference for stillness and disguise. This could be interpreted as a physical manifestation of the burden of inaction. It suggests how a collective of unmotivated or inert parts can lead to overall stagnation, or how the sheer weight of inaction can become so profound that it transforms an entity into something static and unmoving. This video is going to touch upon a very dramatic topic. Viewer discretion is advised. 8 months ago, the biggest leak in the history of gaming happened. This leak broke the internet and revealed the true history of the Pokemon universe. And I am not even exaggerating. This might be one of the deepest any game has gone with its philosophy, their story's wisdom, and the storytelling they are portraying. With this leak, we can tie the history of the Pokemon universe and put the nail in the coffin once and for all, and get closer to the truth about the Pokemon world. I'll cover the canon history of the Pokemon world, combined with the leaked mythology and just a little bit of theorizing to tie the knot of the Pokemon universe. The beginning of existence started with a vortex of randomness and everything was a blur, when eventually an egg is formed. This is canon, by the way, from the Sinnoh Ruins Arceus event cutscene. Game Freak has literally confirmed this a decade ago. After this egg hatches, the Pokemon world's creator is born, Awis, aka Arceus. The egg shells would turn against Arceus and turn into giant beings that would attack the newly born deity. Arceus would struggle against these giant beings, which were the shells of the egg Arceus would come out of, but ultimately he would win at the end. The tale states that Arceus, after killing the giant beings, he poured his blood and his essence in the giant shell beings, and thus this would give birth to Dialga and Palkia. The leaked story from 2005 doesn't mention the existence of Giratina, but I think I have solved it. The tale says that Arceus' two sides were different. One side represented light and the other represented dark. It is said that he puts his light into Dialga, and his darkness into Palkia, but I think this is where the story altered. I theorize that Giratina was the darkness of Arceus, and that Dialga and Palkia both represent the light of Arceus. To back this theory, which had a lot of plot holes with the original tale, but after the release of Pokemon Legends Arceus, Giratina would finally, after almost 2 decades, get a new Pokédex entry, which says, "There is one Hisuian verse that tells of a powerful light creating a deep shadow." I imagine that this deep shadow is Giratina. So this new Pokédex entry pretty much confirms that Giratina is in fact the darkness within Arceus. Now let's look at its origin form Pokédex entry. Giratina loses its legs, changing into this form. I believe this Pokemon must hail from a world where the heavens and the earth are as one. This is insane. In the original tale from the leak, it is confirmed that Dialga is to represent the Pokemon side of existence, and Palkia represents the human being's existence. Dialga is standing on 4 legs, and Palkia is standing on 2 legs. Now if we look at origin form Giratina, just like the new Pokédex entry that got added into Legends Arceus, which says that Giratina loses its legs upon changing forms, meaning it represents neither Pokemon nor human, but is something entirely different. It is Arceus' shadow itself, contrast to its irregular form, which has 6 legs. This would contrast the combined legs from Dialga's 4 legs and Palkia's 2 legs, alluding to the fact that it represents both human and Pokemon just like Arceus. Giratina is often compared to Arceus, rather than Dialga and Palkia. It is also confirmed that the Arceus that we see in-game is just an avatar. So I think that Giratina is more relative to Arceus' avatar form, and since Giratina is its shadow, it can't just remove his malice entirely, so it would banish him to his own realm or existence, the Distortion World. Even in canon shoots, we see Dialga and Palkia usually being up against Giratina. With the creation of time and space by Dialga and Palkia, the world began to take shape, though it remained an empty vessel. Their initial attempts to populate it were met with tragedy. Their fragile children, born without a world to sustain them, perished one after another, their tiny lives flickering out in the void. Dialga and Palkia would become sad. Both driven by a primal parental sorrow, resolved to forge a world where life could flourish. They birthed 3 more children: Uxie, the god of eyes and knowledge; Mesprit, the god of heart and emotion; and Azelf, the god of the voice and willpower. When Uxie opened its eyes, contour and color bled into existence, defining the world. Mesprit's wishes brought forth sensation and calm. Azelf's shouts caused the nascent world to tremble, a blessed timbre resonating through its very fabric. To these 3, Dialga and Palkia bestowed the seed of life, instructing them to nurture it. The seed sprouted, growing rapidly into a colossal tree of life that soon threatened to consume the entire world. The 3 gods, trapped by the boundless growth, sought aid from their parents. Dialga and Palkia, in a desperate act of creation, conceived 3 more children: Rayquaza, the god of the sky; Groudon, god of the earth; and Kyogre, the god of the ocean. Rayquaza, a green serpent coiled around the immense tree of life. Groudon and Kyogre, with brute force, slammed their bodies into it. The tree broke and crashed, breaking into 3 pieces. Grieved by the sight of the decaying arboreal remains, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf prayed. Their sorrowful pleas infused the fragments, transforming them. The broken pieces became the sky, the earth, and the ocean. Rayquaza became the celestial pillar, holding the heavens aloft. The shadows stretching into the sky combined into 3 gods who sustained the sky: Dragonite, Gyarados, and Tyranitar. Groudon became the sprawling landmass, and its ancient roar gave rise to 3 gods who sustained the earth. The identities of these remain a mystery, perhaps yet to be revealed Pokémons, or ancient forms of existing Pokémon like Heatran and Kyogre, transformed into the life-giving veins of water, embracing the oceans, and its disappearing ripples birthed 3 gods who sustained the oceans: Latios, Metagross, and Latios. Thus the world was born, a testament to immense effort and the destinies of these primordial beings. Dialga, Palkia, and their divine offspring rejoiced, populating this new paradise with their countless children. This peaceful world was a haven for these divine descendants, who multiplied endlessly. Over time, a distinction arose. Those who resembled the great father Dialga became known as Pokémon, while those who bore the likeness of the great mother Palkia were called humans. The symbol of Arceus, prominently in the Sinnoh ruins and the battleground of legends, with its interwoven points, encapsulates this creation, representing the fractured yet unified origins of all life, and the inseparable duality of Dialga and Palkia. Before Giratina's banishment, when its dark essence was still active in the fabric of creation, humans were a cruel and self-destructive species. This was not the work of a simplistic devil, as in other mythologies, but a direct consequence of Giratina's demonic influence. Its antimatter, its dark reflection of Arceus' order, seeped into the human psyche, fostering discord, violence, and an unsettling capacity for cruelty even towards their own kind. They were driven by incredible greed and a primal savagery. Tales of inbreeding among humans, born from a desperate scramble for power and unchecked desire, flourished while Giratina was still unchecked, a grim testament to the spiraling depravity that Giratina's presence enabled. The lore concept for Typhlosion. This lore suggested a darker side to the Fire-type starter, depicting it as a shape-shifting entity that kidnapped and manipulated a human girl, leading to a child born from their union. While the exact details are debated due to translation nuances, the core idea involved a non-consensual relationship and implied that Typhlosion later died, leaving the girl to be ostracized. This unsettling story, drawing parallels to ancient folklore about human-animal interactions. The Slackoth story. In this dark tale, a woman and her friends engage in the cruel act of torturing and killing Slackoth and Vigoroth for amusement. However, their brutality backfired when they were eventually captured by these Pokémon. The woman attempted to escape but fainted. When she regained consciousness, she found herself back near her home, surrounded by her friends. Sometime later, she gave birth not to a human child, but to a Slackoth. Despite initially intending to abandon it, she couldn't bring herself to do so, and decided to raise the Slackoth, severing ties with her cruel friends. The true allegory of the Pokémon world. Arceus seeing Giratina's influence on the world, and the evil doings that he would influence onto humans and even Pokémons, would lead to him banishing Giratina to the Distortion World. With Giratina's banishment to the Distortion World, the worst of human cruelty began to wane. The chaos of evil would start to fade, yet the deep scars of that era still remained, etched into human nature. The men in this story, representing society and the body, were not inherently evil, but rather beings worth saving, battling between life and death. The man who saw eternity, the man fighting sin, and the man defeated by sin, all were echoes of humanity's struggle. The beautiful lady, symbolizing the Virgin Mary or the Immaculate Woman, was the one from whom the future is born, and the one to be saved, surrounded by white lilies representing her purity. Her right hand, raised elegantly, sought connection with the unseen Pokémon, the divine, the eternal. Her hair, flowing like a river of eternity, and her body together formed a beautiful and sublime wave, representing a flowing existence. The man, immersed barefoot in the green waters of sin, yet standing strong, represented the heroic state of humanity battling its inner demons, his clenched hand aiming at an invisible Pokeball, a resolve to fight. And it is crucial to remember, for both Pokemon and humans, that free will remains. While Pokemon are inherently gentle, they are not mindless beasts. They can choose to be good, to be evil, or to be both, independently of human influence. The invisible tail of Squirtle spiraling symbolized eternity and the spiritual forces in nature. Similarly, humans, even after the partial lifting of Giratina's shadow, retain their capacity for both profound good and chilling evil. This ancient history also holds a chilling truth. The balance of power between species is elegant. Pokemon, if they truly desired it, possess a raw, untamed power far beyond human comprehension. Their elemental mastery, their formidable physical and psychic abilities, their sheer numbers could easily overwhelm and enslave humanity, the entire world. Where humans often assume dominance is a testament to the inherent kindness and patience of Pokémon, a silent agreement born of their ancient origins and their fundamental goodness. They have chosen time and again to live in harmony, to offer their strength and companionship rather than to seize control. The fragile peace that exists is a testament to their self-control, a constant reminder that the fate of the world rests not in human hands, but in the unspoken, immense power of the creatures that share it, illuminated by the light from the eternal realm, guided by the golden spiral of natural beauty, and centered within the sacred creation of existence. After the world was formed, after the lines were drawn between Pokemon and humans, a new chapter began. The allegory of the image, the very sketch itself, tells us a hidden story, a profound truth about this world. It's a visual representation of a Pokemon trainer battle, but not just any battle, a battle for the very soul of existence. Think about it. The sketch is a prototype, a conceptual idea. That's why the human figures are nude, to help visualize the raw, unfiltered essence. The artist, Tomohiro Kitakazi, even made up a quote by Da Vinci to drive home the point. About nature and beauty and the eternal spiral, it's all about going beyond the surface. So in this sketch, Pokemon are not just creatures. They represent salvation, life and death. They embody the idea of eternity, worldly possessions. This is a visual allegory where Pokemon aren't even visible to the eye. This absence, this symbolic absence, is so important. It's meant to show us that Pokemon are part of a spiritual, eternal realm. They symbolize the invisible essence of the soul, or that guiding presence in life, like companionship, or who we are, our identity, and even our salvation. They're not just, monsters or creatures we catch in balls. They're much, much more. And then we have the men and women in the sketch. They represent gender, identity, and property. But more broadly, they represent society and the physical body. So you have these two core elements in the image. The invisible, eternal, that's the Pokemon, and the visible society and body, that's the men and women. While it says men and women represent sin and the visible world, it's super important to remember they're not evil. Quite the opposite. Men and women, and by extension our physical selves, are beings worth saving. That's why this sketch illustrates the battle between life and death, and the value of humans. It's about our journey, our struggle. And the women, they represent the beautiful lady. This isn't just any beautiful woman. The notes suggest she's the ideal of feminine beauty, the most beautiful woman, which immediately brings to mind the Mona Lisa. But it goes deeper. The beautiful lady is also equated with the Virgin Mary, a woman who gives birth to a savior. So she symbolizes purity, the immaculate woman, the one from whom the future is born, and ultimately the one who is to be saved. She's a beacon of hope and redemption in this unfolding saga. Now let's talk about the water-type Pokemon in this sketch. And again, they're invisible, remember? But they're there. They represent all original sins. Think about that for a second. They embody the sins and tragedies of this world, symbolized by the downfall of that man on the right. Water, so often associated with life, here carries the weight of humanity's fall. But it's not just about sin. Water is also the source of life, isn't it? It holds both sin and salvation. It represents origin, purification, and ultimately salvation. It's a double-edged sword, a powerful force that can cleanse as well as corrupt. Then we see the white lilies. These aren't just pretty flowers, they represent a virginity and purity. Notice where they bloom, near the hands of the women. So, lilies equal pure women. They are also associated with the Virgin Mary and the Immaculate Soul, further emphasizing the woman's purity and her destined path to salvation. It's a delicate yet powerful symbol in this grand allegory. Look at the woman's right hand, that posture. It's so intentional. It represents the power of connection with eternity. She's trying to reach out to connect with the unseen Pokemon, with the divine, with eternity itself. The hand's position is raised and elegant, showing respect, reverence. It's a gesture of yearning, of hope. Her hair, flowing along with her body, forms a wave. Hair here symbolizes the eternity, a river. So the hair and her body together become a flowing existence, beautiful and sublime. It's a visual representation of life's continuous, elegant journey, connected to the eternal flow of time and being. I'm sure you have wondered why Palkia's typing is Water Dragon. Water is filled into space and takes shape, and the woman's hair is like water flowing in a river. And the relationship between the center figure, the man, and the water? He stands barefoot in the stream. The water is colored green, and green here means sin. So the man in the center is immersed in sin. But here's the crucial part. He stands in it. He's not collapsed. He's upright, strong, even in the midst of corruption. This, the notes tell us, represents the most heroic state of humanity. This is the moment where the battle between life and death, between salvation and fall, truly takes place. It's the tipping point, the struggle for his soul. His right hand clenched, aimed at a Pokeball. This isn't just an idle gesture. It represents his intention to summon Pokemon, his resolve to fight. He's calling upon the eternal, the unseen, to aid him in this spiritual battle against sin. It's a powerful moment of human agency, of defiance against the overwhelming tide of corruption. And what about the invisible tail of Squirtle? It curls around in a spiral. A spiral in this sketch symbolizes eternity. It also represents the presence of spiritual forces within nature. It's a subtle yet profound detail, reminding us that even the most seemingly mundane creatures carry within them the echoes of the divine, the natural structure of the world, connected to that universal harmony. Now let's talk about the basic general composition. It's built on profound artistic principles. The golden spiral, that magical 1.618 ratio, is used to describe the concept of eternity. It's famous for its beautiful proportion, creating a perfect sense of harmony and balance. Da Vinci and many of his artworks use this, and we see it everywhere in nature. Shells, galaxies. It represents the natural structure of the world, the divine order hidden within chaos. The eye is another crucial element. Pay attention to the line of sight in the sketch. The focal point is the center of the screen. Every figure looks toward that center. This creates a centripetal composition. Everything draws your eye inward, towards the heart of the allegory, towards the central conflict. The very center composition serves a symbolic role. It represents balance and contradiction. You have a spiritual center vertically and a societal center horizontally. The very center of the frame is also the center of this profound allegory. It's where all the forces, all the meanings converge. And look at the geometry. Many golden triangles are included in the sketch. A triangle, of course, is a sacred symbol, representing divinity, stability, balance. The symbols of the eye, hand, and water are not accidental. The eye represents vision, a symbol of divine presence. The hand represents action, our free will, our ability to choose and act. And water, as we've discussed, is the origin of life, the flow of existence and purification. It holds both the promise of renewal and the stains of sin. The inspiration for this composition comes from some of the greatest artistic masters. Leonardo da Vinci's The Virgin and Child with Saint Anne is a clear influence, especially in the poses and the sense of interconnectedness. Michelangelo's Creation of Adam echoes in the yearning hands and the powerful, almost divine figures. And Botticelli's The Birth of Venus is there in the graceful flowing lines of the woman and the sense of emerging beauty. This sketch, this prototype, is a masterpiece of symbolic art, carefully crafted to convey these deep, unsettling truths about the Pokémon world. It's a visual sermon, if you will, on humanity's place, in a universe overseen by ancient, almost unfathomable deities, and the enduring power of Pokémon to guide us toward salvation. The allegory also shows the bird Pokémon. In this painting, the bird represents life and death and freedom. Since ancient times, people have felt God and birds are in flying entities. In this image, we can see that the bird is at the very top of the pyramid. This is the meaning of the one who watches over us, who are angels. This grand narrative, this hidden truth about the Pokémon universe, has been subtly woven into the games for decades, waiting for us to uncover it. The leak didn't just give us some interesting tidbits. It gave us the Rosetta Stone to understand a philosophy that runs deeper than any children's game has a right to, if only we had the eyes to see. And now, you do. The world of Pokémon will never look the same.
This world of yours is truly a magnificent place. And now, with great joy, I have finally come to understand that I am truly a part of it.